Chapter 680. Just like that, each of them gave one item to Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Yun was a little jealous. After all, Lin Ling had more treasures than her father. Lin Rei, Bing, and Ing weren't the only ones who gave gift. Even her younger brother, Xiefeng, the three Ghost Kings, Tian Yun, Ming, Kuei Gang, and the others received one each. One must know that they were all above the God Emperor level. Plus, Xiefeng was a Saint State expert. Naturally, the gifts she gave weren't simple. Moreover, if those big shots in the God world were here and saw this scene, they would be shocked. It was impossible for a sect to have so many God Emperors and hierarchs. If Xiefeng's identity was exposed, then all the sects in the God world would have to fall behind. Given Xianzong's current strength, who in the entire God realm would be a match for him? Of course, that would depend on whether or not Lin Li was willing to use these powers. However, one thing was for sure. Lin Rei naturally wouldn't use these powers to annihilate the Qiankuan sect. After all, he had long decided to annihilate the Qiankuan sect. Moreover, it was his own responsibility. He wouldn't hand it over to anyone else. Seeing this, Lin Rei's heart radiated warmth. He hadn't seen such a scene in 1,000 years. Although he wanted to stand at the peak of Tao, who could understand that kind of loneliness? As the saying goes, it's lonely at the top. Although he didn't stand at the peak, he had already reached this step. He more or less understood a little. Grandpa, just as Lin Rei was enjoying this scene, a baby voice sounded from the side. Instantly, Lin Rei came back to his senses and reached out with his spirit sense. At this moment, Lin Ling was already beside him with many things in her hands. There were so many that she almost couldn't carry them all. Looking at his lovely granddaughter, Lin Rei couldn't help but smile. All right, you guys don't have to give it to me one by one. Besides, Lil Ling doesn't need it right now, so it's better to wait for her to grow up before you give it to her. At this moment, everyone who heard Lin Rei's words didn't dare to disobey Lin Rei. They nodded and replied, "Yes, we will obey." After saying that, everyone retreated to Lin Yun's side and stood in the hall. Seeing them leave, Lin Li's smile was still the same. He quickly took over the things in Lin Ling's hand. Instantly, Lin Ling, who felt like a heavy burden, was relieved. "Thank you, Grandpa." As soon as she said this, the people who wanted to give gifts looked ashamed. After all, Lin Ling was only a 4 or 5-year-old child. Their magic artifacts weighed hundreds or even thousands of kilograms. Thus, at this moment, everyone lowered their heads. Looking at Lin Ling, Lin Rei reached out and hugged her. He then used his divine sense to look at the people below and laughed. All right, since it's unintentional, there's no need to take it to heart. With that, Lin Rei didn't wait for them to speak and continued, "This time, since you've all returned, you can all return to your positions." "Yes, we will obey." At this moment, a portion of the people below heard Lin Rei's order and bowed respectfully before leaving the room. At this moment, although some people left, there were still a lot of people. The 6 of you will cultivate in the secret realm. Your cultivation has increased, but your mental state is still unstable. During this period of time, don't cultivate in the real world. If I find out that you didn't do as I said, Yes, we will obey Master's orders. When Lin Wanyu heard Lin Rei's words, she nodded and left the hall. Kuei-gong, Tianyun, Ming, and the others, you guys go as well. During this period of time, you guys will test the strength of the current sect disciples. Try to make them break through during this period of time. If you need pills, just go to the pill shop to get them. No need to report. Yes, we will do as you say. Just like that, wave after wave of people left the hall. At this moment, only Lin Yun, Sun Yuan, Bing, Ing, Xiefeng, the 3 Ghost Kings, and Ling Er were left in the hall. Looking at them, Lin Rei thought for a moment and said, "Gui Li, the 3 of you will follow this sovereign to the secret realm. Your main mission is to help me look after Ling Er when I don't have time. Help her grow stronger quickly. Even if she can't reach the heavens in one step, she must have the ability to protect herself. As for Xian Guang, you will follow as well. Help me look after Ling Er. Of course, don't let her cultivate all the time. After all, she is still a child. When she is bored and feels that her cultivation is lacking, tell her about the outside world. Yes, we will do as you say. Hearing Lin Rei's orders, the four of them nodded. They couldn't disobey Lin Rei's orders, even if he told them to commit suicide. They wouldn't hesitate. However, Sun Yuan didn't agree with Lin Rei's orders. She wanted to say something several times, but she was stopped by her father. Lin Rei naturally knew about this. Looking at her, Lin Rei asked, Yuan Er, if you have something to say, just say it. Sun Yuan didn't hide and said, Father, my daughter is still too young. If you let her cultivate like this, I'm afraid she won't be able to take it. Moreover, I don't want to be separated from my daughter. Alright, that's enough. When Lin Yun heard his wife's words, he immediately changed his expression. Her expression changed, and she hurriedly stepped forward to stop him. Yuan, father has his own plans. Since father wants Ling Er to cultivate, then let Ling Er cultivate. I know that father is doing all this for Ling Er's sake. But, seeing her husband like this, she knew that she couldn't continue. However, when she thought about her daughter being separated from her, she couldn't bear to. However, the scene below gave Lin Rei a headache. She had thought about Sun Yuan's words before. 10 minutes later, Lin Rei saw that the people below were still arguing about Ling Er. For a moment, Lin Rei sighed bitterly in his heart. Forget it, do as you see fit. Since you, as her mother, don't agree, then I have even less right. As he spoke, Lin Li looked at the 3 ghoul kings and Xian Guang, then said to them, The 4 of you, go watch over those useless disciples of mine. Although they still have the power of divine sovereigns, their temperaments are unstable, and their insights are lacking. During this period of time, have them work hard on improving their insight. Do you understand? Yes, we understand. As soon as Lin Yun said that, Sun Yuan, who was arguing with Lin Yun, revealed a smile. As for Lin Yun, he felt extremely guilty. Seeing that the matter was settled, Lin Yun stood up from his seat and said to everyone, this sovereign will be going into seclusion for a period of time. If there's nothing important, don't disturb me. After saying that, Lin Rei didn't wait for the expressions of the people around him to change. He signaled to Xie Feng with his eyes and instantly disappeared from the hall. As for Lin Ling, she sat alone on the sect master's throne. All of this had happened too quickly. Before everyone could even relax, Lin Li had already disappeared. Regarding this, Lin Yun, who was standing below, felt even more uncomfortable. Of course, he also felt regretful. After all, he knew the strength of the 3 ghost kings. Now, such a good teacher was gone just like that. He felt extremely regretful. He even regretted not being more resolute before this. The originally beautiful event ended unhappily just like that. Everyone left one by one. In the end, only Lin Yun's family was left in the hall. Father, grandfather, why did he leave? At this moment, Lin Ling, who was sitting on the sect master's throne, didn't say anything. She only dared to speak after everyone left. Your grandfather still has things to do. Lin Yun revealed an awkward expression when he heard his daughter's question. Oh! Hearing her father's words, a trace of disappointment appeared on Lin Ling's face. It was as though she had lost something. Seeing his daughter in such a state, Lin Yun didn't say anything. After all, she was only 4 or 5 years old. Lin Yun didn't think too much. In his mind, he felt that his daughter was still young and didn't know anything. In the secret realm behind the main hall, Lin Rei came here after leaving the main hall. He stood beside a pool and looked at what used to be a house and the flowing water. At this moment, Lin Rei's heart calmed down. What's the matter? After such a calm moment, a voice came from behind. A woman in fiery red clothes walked over from behind. You're here. Hearing this, Lin Rei didn't turn around. Instead, he smiled at her and replied. The person who came was none other than Xiefeng, who Lin Rei had hinted at with his eyes in the main hall. Yes. Tell me, why did you call me here? Hearing how straightforward Xiefeng was, Lin Rei didn't beat around the bush. He said directly, I'm going into seclusion for a period of time. When I come out, I'll make a trip to the 9th continent. However, this time, I'm going with Chu Xi and Yun Kai. I don't plan to bring anyone else, so I want to say, so, you want me to stay here and guard the sect so that it won't be in danger, right? Hearing Linley's words, the evil phoenix immediately understood. Before Linley could finish, she interrupted him and said, Don't worry, Linley, don't worry. Don't worry. Haha, only Xiefeng knows me well. Hearing Xiefeng say what she was thinking, Lin Rei smiled and said, You're right, that's exactly what I was thinking. Although the sect has Guili and the other two, as well as Xianguang, the god realm is so big, so I'm still a bit worried. I sent you 15 out to gather materials for refining pills, and still haven't returned, so I want you to stay here and guard the sect so that you won't be in danger. Of course. Chapter 681. Upon hearing Lin Rei's words, Xiefeng fell silent. Why? Are you unwilling? Upon seeing Xiefeng's silence, Lin Rei asked doubtfully. In fact, before he asked, he did not expect her to agree so quickly. After all, she was a Saint stage powerhouse. Although their relationship had changed along the way, it was only a change. He knew that he could not order Xiefeng around. The silent atmosphere made Lin Rei feel depressed. After more than 10 minutes, seeing that Xiefeng did not agree, Lin Rei suddenly laughed and said, Actually, it's nothing. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. It's not bad to have the 3 Ghost Kings and Xianguang. After saying that, Lin Rei was about to turn around and walk into the room. But at this moment, just as Lin Rei was about to turn around and leave, Xiefeng's voice sounded. I say, can't you ask nicely? Look at you just now. Upon hearing Xiefeng's words, Lin Rei was stunned for a moment. He was full of doubts and did not understand what she meant. Sigh. What a blockhead. Looking at Lin Rei's puzzled face, Xiefeng could not stand it anymore. She casually replied, Okay, you can go into seclusion. I'll look after this place for you. Besides, my son is still with you. Really? Upon hearing Xiefeng's promise, Lin Rei immediately confirmed it with her in surprise. Nonsense, I won't care if you continue to talk nonsense. Hearing Lin Rei's doubts, Xiefeng was stunned for a moment. Then, her face was filled with displeasure. That I know. Thanks. Say it. Without waiting for Xiefeng's reply, he directly teleported and disappeared on the spot. Just as curiosity made Xiefeng regret her words, she escaped. Alas! In the end, Xiefeng could only shake her head and sigh at Lin Rei's actions. She didn't say anything and instead sat down cross-legged. She sat quietly in the pool and closed her eyes to cultivate. At this moment, in the system space, Lin Rei looked at Xiefeng outside and let out a long sigh. Then, he smiled. Tisk, stinking brat. You only know how to use this move. After so many years, you don't even know how to change it. At that moment, Xiaolong's voice suddenly rang out from behind him. Instantly, an awkward smile appeared on Linley's face. He replied, Damn, you make it sound so nice, but the opponent is a saint. I know that divine emperors have a saint protecting them. If I don't use this move, what if the opponent goes back on his word? Looking at the little dragon, Lin Rei despised him to death in his heart. Moreover, do you really think that my relationship with Xiefeng is good? You have to know that the two of us are just taking what we need. Alright, whatever you say. Looking at Lin Rei, the little dragon chuckled and walked towards him step by step. Oh, by the way, I found a cultivation technique for the talisman Dao for you. Good, didn't you say that you wanted to go into seclusion? Good, use this opportunity to cultivate the talisman Dao. Moreover, it's very easy for you to cultivate the talisman Tao. Hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei was confused for a moment. Why do you say that? I don't remember learning the talisman Tao before. Hearing Lin Rei's words, the little dragon rolled his eyes and said helplessly, Of course I know that. What I want to say is that although the talisman Tao and the talisman Tao are different, they achieve the same result by different means. Your talisman Tao is naturally cultivated to the honorable level. Moreover, you have powerful mental strength and divine sense. Therefore, if you cultivate the talisman Tao, it can be said that you'll get twice the result with half the effort. Moreover, speaking of this, the little dragon looked at him jealously and continued, adding up all the above, others would need more than 10 days to cultivate to the first level, but you only need 1 day. So be content. Really? Hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei asked doubtfully. However, when the little dragon said that sentence, he actually believed it. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Hearing Lin Rei's doubts, the little dragon threw a sentence at him directly. Then, a mysterious message appeared in his mind instantly. Even Lin Rei himself did not know how it came about. It just appeared out of nowhere. Truth of Talisman Tao, Hongming's cultivation method, specialized in the origin of Talisman Tao. It was divided into 9 levels. The 9th level could reach the peak and enter the beginning. Damn, Hongming's cultivation method. This Lin Rei sorted out the inexplicable memories that appeared in his mind, and a set of Talisman Tao cultivation method appeared. After seeing the introduction of the truth of Talisman Tao, Lin Rei was stunned. Tisk, it's good that you know. I spent a lot of effort to find this cultivation method for you. Seeing how excited Lin Rei was, the little dragon smiled contentedly and said, You have to remember that this cultivation method is now the peak of this world. When you cultivate, remember to guard against arrogance and rashness. You can't act recklessly. This cultivation method will cause you to go berserk. When that happens, even I can't help you. Do you understand? Huh? I understand. Don't worry. Using his divine sense to explore the little dragon's cautious expression, Lin Rei instantly knew that this was not a joke. It would really be like what the little dragon said. Lin Rei became more careful. However, he could not wait to start cultivating this cultivation method immediately. But when he thought of his promise to Chu Ci, Lin Rei's excitement was extinguished by this matter. Okay, it's good that you know. Looking at Lin Rei, the little dragon felt relieved. If this was the Lin Rei of the past, he might still be worried. But now, after going through so many things, he knew that the impulsive boy in the past had grown up. Okay. Let's leave it at that for now. When I start cultivating, I'll come back here. After all, this is the first time I've come into contact with this cultivation method. It's better for you to watch than for me to do it myself. When he spoke up to this point, Linley looked up into the sky and sighed. He then said, I'm going to help Chu Ci remove the pill poison from his body. Who knows, his cultivation might explode to become a god emperor or even higher after he removes the pill poison from his body. Hearing Lin Rei's words, the little dragon slapped his head and waved his hand to dismiss him. Right, I forgot you had this matter. Alright, since it's like this, then you can go first. But remember, the pill poison isn't so easy to refine. Of course, you still have nothing to fear since you possess the illusory spirit Bloodfire. But you must know that little fellow Chu Ci is only an ordinary cultivator, so you must be careful. Without waiting for Lin Rei's reply, the little dragon directly closed its eyes and entered meditation. Looking at the little dragon, Lin Rei smiled and nodded to it before disappearing from the region. The system was divided into several regions, and the region just now was the little dragon's exclusive region. At this moment, Lin Rei was about to go to one of the regions that had been taken into the system. In the system, as long as Lin Rei wanted to go, he would be in one region a moment ago, and in the next, he would be in another region in an instant. At this moment, in the area where Chu Si and Yun Kai were, where there were originally only the two of them, a figure suddenly appeared. There was no sign at all, and there was not even the slightest sound. Chu Si. A voice directly pulled Chu Si back from his cultivation. The person who called Chu Si was none other than Lin Rei, who had been talking to the little dragon earlier. Chu Si, who was pulled back to reality by the voice, opened her eyes in confusion and turned to look at the source of the voice with a displeased expression. However, the moment she turned and saw Lin Rei, Chu Si became excited. Kai. Seeing that it was Lin Rei, Chu Si immediately turned and called out to Yun Kai. What's the matter? Yun Kai was done. Seeing her fiancé so emotional, instantly, she couldn't help but laugh. Xin Yan asked doubtfully. Young master is here. What young master? The moment she heard Lin Rei's arrival, Yun Kai almost screamed out loud. She was so excited that she jumped up from the ground. Young master! She turned, and as soon as she saw Linley, she hurriedly bowed and said respectfully to Linley. Haha, looking at the two of them, Lin Rei smiled and said, All right, the two of you don't have to be so restrained. I'm here today to fulfill my promise. Without waiting for the two of them to speak, Lin Rei waved his hand and a huge cauldron appeared in front of the two of them. There were many drawings of herbs and various divine treasures that they had never seen before on the huge cauldron. There was also a drawing of some rare and exotic beasts that they had never seen before. Chu Si was excited when he saw the huge cauldron. He knew the treatment plan. It was just throwing him into the huge cauldron and refining the pill toxins in his body like refining pills. Alright, you know it even if I don't say it. However, before we start, I want to ask you if you want me to use this method. I've never tried this method before, so if anything happens, I'll be in trouble. If anything happens, I won't be responsible. It's alright, young master. Just do it. I can take it. Also, I trust you, young master. Hearing Lin Rei's persuasion, Chu Si directly stated his choice. Hearing this, Lin Rei revealed a gratified smile. Alright, you'll feel fortunate for the choice you've made. Trust me, when you appear again, not only will the pill poison in your body disappear, your cultivation will also skyrocket. Not only that, I'll also help you completely resolve the unstable situation of your marks this time. Thank you, young master. Hearing his gratitude, Lin Rei smiled. Alright, don't be in such a hurry to thank me. After helping you refine and increase your cultivation, I still want you to bring me to the 9th continent and help me enter the ancient corpse vault. What? Young master, you said the ancient corpse vault? Chapter 682. That's right, you know? Seeing such a huge reaction from the two of them, Linley's interest was piqued. After all, if he didn't go, then once the 100-year time limit was up, then at that time, his life might be lost. Chu Si and Yun Kai's expressions turned unsightly when they heard this. They wanted to say something several times, but they didn't in the end. It was as if this matter was very difficult to say. Furthermore, at this moment, both of their faces were extremely pale. Linley could even feel that their bodies were trembling. Linley was puzzled about this, but he was more curious. He was curious as to what kind of place this ancient corpse trove was to be able to cause the two of them to be in such a state. Tell me, what kind of place is this ancient corpse trove? Why are you so afraid when I see it, and why are you trembling when you hear its name? Young master. The two of them didn't want to say anything when they heard Lin Rei's interrogation, but they couldn't disobey orders. They could only briefly explain the ancient corpse trove to him. It's like this. They glanced at Lin Rei, then looked at each other. Chu Si said, the ancient corpse trove is a place that even a 3-year-old child knows about in the 9th continent. However, it's not famous because it's a paradise. On the contrary, The ancient corpse trove is a place of extreme and extreme coldness. Lin Rei's expression changed slightly when he heard Chu Si's words. His expression became serious. However, Chu Si was even more exaggerated than before. His entire body was trembling so much that he was about to have a seizure. Seeing him like this, Linley became even more curious about the ancient corpse trove. Even though it was a place filled with evil, it was a place that even a 3-year-old child knew about. He really wanted to see how terrifying it was. At this moment, Chu Si, who had stopped speaking, spoke again. The ancient corpse vault is full of buried experts from the remote antiquity era and later. However, it is a place of extreme and extreme coldness, so after such a long time, the corpses have already changed. Although they died, they took advantage of the terrain and came back to life, becoming existences beyond the 6 Tao and the 5 elements. No one in the divine realm could do anything to them because their cultivation was too high before they died. Moreover, they were experts from the ancient times and their cultivation techniques were even more powerful. Therefore, there was once a peak ultimate god expert who was only 1 step away from entering the saint realm. However, he disappeared after entering the ancient corpse vault. That expert's descendant had been guarding the entrance of his sect. However, that person never came out after millions of years. That sect eventually died because there was no expert guarding it. Therefore, young master, you mustn't enter the ancient corpse trove. We can't enter this place. I think even Saint Realm experts would find it difficult to enter. Lin Rei, who had been listening attentively to the introduction of the ancient corpse trove, was in a dilemma. He must obtain the ancient corpse king's inner core, but after listening to Chu Si's introduction of the ancient corpse trove, he knew that this place was very terrifying. However, he said he wouldn't go just because of Chu Si's words. After all, this was indirectly related to his own life. Therefore, he had already made up his mind on this matter. Returning to his senses, Lin Rei used his divine sense to investigate the pale-faced and trembling Chu Si and Yun Kai. Immediately, he showed a reassuring smile and said, "Be careful, I won't be so impulsive. I won't play around with my own life before I understand the situation." Having said that, Lin Rei didn't say anything else. Instead, he came to the front of the worldly Huayu and placed his left hand on it. Immediately, the illusory spirit blood fire appeared and began to warm up the giant cauldron. "Young master, really don't go. No one has come out of the ancient corpse trove since the beginning. The dangers inside are not something we can imagine." Lin Rei, who was warming up the worldly Huayu, heard Chu Si's agitated dissuasion. For a moment, Lin Rei smiled. "This matter is no longer something I can control. I'm going to the ancient corpse trove. Not for anything else but for my life." Having said that, Lin Rei didn't intend to continue making a fuss. After all, he still needed them to lead the way. Previously, when I was in Tianliang City, I entered a strange place, and then, just like that, Lin Rei told Chu Si and Yun Kai about the cloud trove in full detail. Throughout the entire process, he didn't leave out a single word. After more than 10 minutes, the story finally came to an end. Just like that, I was poisoned. Within 100 years, if I can't get the Corpse King's inner core, then my life will be gone. You can imagine the final result. Life and death, and even my soul will disappear. I won't be able to enter the 6 paths of reincarnation. Therefore, even if you are so afraid of the ancient corpse trove, I must go to this place." Having said that, the warming up of the worldly Huayu also ended. Without waiting for the two to respond, he immediately said, "Okay, I know what I'm doing. But now, immediately jump into this giant cauldron for me. I'm going to help you detoxify the pill poison." Sigh. "Okay." Hearing Lin Rei's words, Chu Si immediately sighed and nodded in agreement. "I understand. However, there's one last thing I want to say. Young master, although my cultivation isn't as strong as yours, and I can't even last a few rounds in your hands. However, if you want to go to the Trove, I'll take you there. Okay. Got it. Hearing Chu Si's words, Lin Rei revealed a grateful smile on his face. Then, without waiting for him to prepare, Lin Rei waved his hand and a giant hand appeared. It directly grabbed Chu Si and threw her into the worldly Huayu. This action made Yun Kai speechless. She felt a slight heartache. After all, the person who was thrown in was her fiancé. Moreover, this method was dangerous. Be careful. I'll try my best to minimize the danger. I definitely won't let anything happen to him. Now that everything was ready, Linley spoke comfortingly to the nearby Cloudy, whose face was filled with worry. Okay, I believe in you, young master. Towards Linley's question, Clouds could only reply in this way. However, in her heart, she was still extremely worried. Chu Si, remember, no matter what kind of pain you encounter, you must endure it. If you relax and faint, the consequences will be unimaginable. At that time, even if I wanted to save you, it would be impossible. Do you remember? At this moment, Chu Si, who was in the heaven and earth magnificent universe, immediately became spirited when she heard those words. She smiled and replied, Yes, young master. I understand. I know what to do. I will definitely be fine for Kai Er's sake. Humph, shameless bastard, you must survive. At that moment, Chu Si's voice was extremely loud. It was so loud that even Yun Kai, who stood to the side, heard it. In response, Yun Kai's face reddened and she snorted at her fiancé. Haha, seeing the two of them like this, Lin Rei smiled and said, All right, since that's the case, I'll do it. With that, a ball of illusory spirit blood fire jumped out from Lin Rei's hand. At that moment, the illusory spirit blood fire seemed to have a spirit. The moment it was released, it flew directly into the worldly Huayu. Hold on. At that moment, Lin Rei was also very confident. Apart from the time he cultivated the lightning body for his son, this was the first time he used the illusory spirit blood fire to refine a human. At that moment, under Lin Rei's control, the illusory spirit blood fire that entered the worldly Huayu directly enveloped Chu Si in the worldly Huayu. An enormous amount of mental energy directly covered Chu Si. As for the illusory spirit blood fire, it directly covered the mental energy. Phew, sensing the completion of the first step, Lin Rei's forehead broke out in cold sweat. One should know that if the illusory spirit blood fire touched even a little bit, it would be fatal. Sensing the situation in the worldly Huayu, Lin Rei rejoiced. Then, he opened up a small opening in the mental energy that covered Chu Si's body. Then, a trace of the illusory spirit blood fire directly penetrated Chu Si's flesh and entered Chu Si's meridians. It began to circulate rapidly in Chu Si's meridians. The illusory spirit blood fire was the nemesis of evil Yin objects. Pill toxins were also evil Yin objects. Therefore, under the circulation of the illusory spirit blood fire, Chu Si's meridians began to be refined. At that moment, it could be said that it was similar to Lin Rei's reconstruction of Chu Si's meridians. Although it was not a true reconstruction of meridians, the final result was similar. Lin Rei believed that as long as the pill toxins in Chu Si's meridians were refined by the illusory spirit blood fire, Chu Si's meridians would expand a lot. Moreover, the degree of hardness would increase by several times, or even more than 10 times. Of course, this also depended on Chu Si's perseverance. As the saying goes, there are pros and cons. Although the illusory spirit blood fire could refine the pill toxins in Chu Si's meridians and harden them, Chu Si's meridians had a shortcoming. They were too weak. If Chu Si's meridians were too weak and could not withstand the illusory spirit blood fire, then what he had thought before would be nothing but empty talk. Ah, a blood-curdling scream was heard from the worldly Huayu. Immediately, Yun Kai, who was standing at the side, became nervous. Don't be nervous. This is a normal reaction. If you can't listen to it, just shut off your hearing. In the instant that Chu Si's screams rang out, Linley could sense the nervousness and worry emanating from Cloud behind him. But right now, he was a sinner, and he couldn't endure such things. Thus, Linley spoke to Cloud. It's okay. Don't worry. I won't disturb you. Having said that, Yun Kai immediately shut her mouth and looked at the worldly Huayu affectionately and worriedly. Meanwhile, in the worldly Huayu, Chu Si's face was distorted by the pain in Chu Si's meridians. Chapter 683. Guard your Tao heart and don't let your guard down. There will be more pain than this in the future. You must hold on. Seeing how much pain Chu Si was in, Linley couldn't help but send a voice transmission to her. There's just too much pill poison in your body. It's even exceeded what I predicted earlier. That's why you have to hold on in order to rid yourself of the pill poison as soon as possible. You have to survive. Your fiancé is still waiting for you. Okay, Chu Si's face immediately filled with determination when he heard Lin Rei's message. He made up his mind to get through this ordeal, whether it was for himself or for his fiancée. Haha, Lin Rei smiled when he sensed Chu Si's determination. Then, the illusory spirit blood fire entered his body and began to rapidly refine the pill poison. In order to expel the pill poison faster and prevent it from going to waste, Lin Rei used the illusory spirit blood fire to refine Chu Si's meridians while using the illusory spirit blood fire to refine Chu Si's body on the outside. At this moment, the pain that Chu Si felt at this moment was unprecedented. Of course, as mentioned before, this method had its pros and cons. Although it was very painful, the effect was very obvious. At the moment, Chu Si wasn't just feeling pain. His cultivation base and cultivation base were slowly rising along with the pain. Linley could sense this. After all, his mental energy had been covering Chu Si's body the entire time, so he could clearly sense the increase in his cultivation level. He also believed that Chu Si, who was howling in pain, should be happy as well. Phew, sensing this, Linley let out a long sigh. It must be understood that this method was extremely taxing on one's mind. He was afraid that if he wasn't careful, he would be incinerated into ashes. Therefore, he had to use 200% of his mental strength to observe Chu Si's condition in the cauldron while refining the pill poison for Chu Si. He would immediately stop the refinement if there were any abnormalities. No matter what, Chu Si was still an alchemist. He didn't want such a genius to die. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, Lin Rei had been back in the sect for a year. However, during this year, other than when he first came back, he disappeared without a trace. No one knew what he was doing. At this moment, in the Xuanzong Sect's meeting hall, a group of people was standing there, facing Lin Yun, who was sitting at the head of the table. Each of them had a heavy expression and their brows were tightly knitted, as if something bad had happened. The oppressive atmosphere in the hall made Lin Yun's heart heavy. All right, let's not stay here. Because of what happened in Tianliang City, the Xuanzong Sect has been exposed to everyone in the God Realm. Now the entire God Realm is looking for our Xuanzong Sect. Speaking of this, Lin Yun's voice became softer as his expression turned serious. Furthermore, according to a reliable source, just a few days ago, someone had already discovered our profound sect's hiding place. The sects that discovered it included the Cosmos Sect, one of the top sects in the God Realm. What? Cosmos Sect? This? At this moment, Lin Yun's words shocked everyone. One had to know that they had met the Cosmos Sect in the immortal world. Who would have thought that they would meet the Cosmos Sect again in the God Realm? At this moment, everyone's eyes were filled with killing intent and hatred. At this moment, they couldn't wait to kill and destroy the Cosmos Sect. That's right. I've already known about this before. Just a while ago, a disciple of the sect heard this news when he went out. He reported it to me after he came back. Furthermore, I've also sent people to investigate this matter. This matter is accurate. It can be said that right now our mysterious sect is about to face another catastrophe. Speaking of this, Lin Yun's face revealed a trace of determination. He then said sternly, "We know too little about the God realm. As for a top sect that has existed in the God realm for God knows how long, we know even less. Therefore, during this period of time, you must train your disciples well. This time, it's not just the Cosmos sect. There should be other sects, first-grade sects and second-grade sections. Therefore, this time, we must prepare for anything that might happen." Yes, we will obey. Hearing Lin Yun's words, everyone below nodded in agreement. After all, facing so many sects in the God realm, they didn't have any confidence at all. Moreover, Lin Rei was still in seclusion and they didn't know where he was. Yes, that's it. Seeing that they had agreed, Lin Yun said, "Secret team, during this period of time, go out and gather information, no matter what kind of information it is. As long as it's related to the Xuanzong sect, send it to me. Do you understand?" "We understand." At this moment, hearing Lin Yun's words, Bai Qi suddenly appeared in the originally empty space and replied respectfully. "Good, since that's the case, you may all disperse. During this period of time, everyone must be 200% alert. Do not slack off." After saying this, Lin Yun didn't say anything else. Instead, he quietly looked at them and just like that, one by one, they left the hall. Soon after, the entire hall became empty. The only person left was himself. He gazed into the distance, and his eyes were filled with desolation. Sigh. "Father, where are you now? The sect is in danger. I'm afraid that I won't be able to handle it well." Looking into the distance, Lin Yun sighed. Then, he stood up and walked out of the hall, towards the secret realm at the back of the hall. However, his father, Lin Rei, hadn't stopped circulating his cultivation technique for the past year. In the past year, Lin Rei had been carefully controlling the illusory spirit bloodfire every day, removing and refining the pill toxins. Every day, he repeated this cycle, not stopping for a single day. During this year, Lin Rei had a new understanding of the pill toxins in Chu Si's body. Originally, he had planned to use a few months to completely remove and refine the pill toxins in Chu Si's body. Who would have thought that this process would take a year? Moreover, it should be the kind of non-stop cultivation day and night. Linley didn't feel tired at all because this was nothing compared to his previous cultivation. Especially in this 1 year, his spiritual energy had increased by 60 times. He had also experienced how a divine monarch realm cultivator with a cultivation base that was floating and could be easily blown away by a gust of wind had rapidly grown to the middle stage God Emperor realm in this 1 year. Not only that, it was not just her cultivation that had been depleted. What made Linley even more surprised was that during this year, Chu Si had actually recovered to the middle stage God Emperor realm after being tempered by the illusory spirit blood fire. Lin Rei felt that his efforts hadn't been in vain. He had created a God Emperor for the sect in a year. To him, this was very worthwhile. Of course, such good things didn't happen often. If not for the pill toxins in Chu Si's body, he probably wouldn't have had the chance to help Chu Si reach the God Emperor realm in a year. Therefore, all of this opportunity belonged to Chu Si. However, that wasn't all. After a year, the pill toxins in Chu Si's body still hadn't been completely removed. Although 90% of it had been removed, Lin Rei wasn't satisfied. Moreover, he could feel that as long as he could refine 1/10 of the pill toxins, he would be able to become a peak God Emperor. This gap was something he could still make up for. Therefore, although the pill toxins didn't pose any threat to Chu Si, he still didn't want to give up this opportunity to help Chu Si become a peak God Emperor. "Young Master, it's been a year." Chu Si, at this moment, in the system space, Yun Kai, who had been waiting by the side, saw that the fire in the cauldron had not been extinguished for a year. Although she was a little worried, a year should have passed. At this moment, all her previous worries had turned into trust. Hearing these words from behind him, Linley turned his head and gave her a reassuring smile. Then, he said in a gentle voice, "Be careful. Chu Ci is excellent. In the past year, she has experienced many life and death situations. In this 1 year, his cultivation has already improved greatly. Moreover, his state of mind has also matured quite a bit. You have to work hard too." "Yes, I know." Yun Kai calmed down after hearing Chu Ci's message. Then, she said to Lin Rei, "Young master, I also want to improve my strength. Chu Ci has improved his strength. I don't want to be a burden to him. I want to help him." Sigh. Lin Rei sighed after hearing Yun Kai's words. He fell silent for a long time. He didn't refuse, but he didn't say anything either. Only after a long time had passed did Linley speak once more. "Fine. Since that's what you want, then after this matter is over, follow me and cultivate. Although you also cultivate the Tao of alchemy, this path is very likely not suitable for you. After this matter is over, let me see what you cultivate. At most, what do you think?" That's great. Hearing this, for a moment, Yun Kai lost her sense of measure and screamed. However, the moment she screamed, Yun Kai reacted and lowered her head like a child who had done something wrong. Her face was filled with guilt. "Ha!" She looked at him. Linley chuckled before he said, "All right, it's settled then. Go and cultivate first. I believe that it won't be long before I'll be able to completely refine the pill poison in Chu Ci's body. When that time comes, you can immediately enter secluded cultivation with me." Linley's decision had been made so quickly that Cloud hadn't even reacted to it yet. By the time she was about to ask something, Linley had naturally returned to his usual state. In response, Cloud retreated to one side, no longer bothering him. Chapter 684. 3 months. Another 3 months passed. Ever since his conversation with Yun Kai, another 3 months had passed. During this time, Linley continued to work as hard as ever. Finally, just now, the last strand of pill poison left in Chu Ci's body had been refined. Boom, however, the moment the pill poison was refined, a vigorous energy was emitted from the heaven and earth Huayu. Peak Emperor God, heh? Feeling the pressure, Chu Ci was stunned. Linley chuckled. A smile appeared on his face. One had to know what a peak God Emperor meant in the divine world. Although there were still reverends above them, God Emperors were still experts among experts in the divine world. As for the peak Emperor God that he had personally created, he believed that even if Chu Ci met a few Emperor Gods of the same realm, she would be able to crush them easily. After all, he had refined Chu Ci's meridians and internal organs once more during the process of removing the pill toxins. The current him could be said to be extraordinary. Looking at her, Linley smiled. He then withdrew the illusory spirit blood fire and opened the lid of the worldly Huayu's cauldron. He transmitted his voice to her, "Withdraw your aura and cultivation. During this period of time, focus on consolidating your cultivation. Remember, don't rush things." Lin Rei thought for a while and continued, "You have just broken through to peak Emperor God. It's not suitable for you to break through again." "Yes, young master, I understand." Chu Ci had yet to awaken within the worldly splendor, but she could still hear Linley's message clearly. She immediately replied, "Yes, Linley. All right, it's good that you know. Remember, consolidate your cultivation. Don't wake up before I come out of seclusion to look for you. Do you understand?" Understood. Young Master, Kair. Lin Rei smiled when he heard Chu Ci's words. In order to let Chu Ci cultivate in peace, Lin Rei told Chu Ci about Yun Kai's recent situation. "Be careful. Yunkai has been doing well recently, but she is very worried about you. At this point, Lin Rei revealed Yunkai's thoughts and his decision. She wants to increase her strength and doesn't want to be a burden to you. Furthermore, I promised her that after your matter is settled, I will bring her into closed-door cultivation. Therefore, during this period of time, the two of you won't be able to see each other. Once this sovereign comes out of closed-door cultivation, the two of you can reunite. Hearing this, Chu Ci became excited. That's great, with your guidance, I believe Kai Er's cultivation will rise to the next level. Ugh, hearing Chu Ci's words, Yizichen nodded. Lin Rei froze for a moment, then said to him, All right, I won't talk to you anymore. Remember, guard your soul and focus on stabilizing your cultivation. When I come out of seclusion, I will come and check on you. Then, without waiting for Chu Ci's response, he stood up and stepped to Yun Kai's side. At this moment, Yun Kai was training with her eyes closed. Linli, who had come to her side, did not disturb her. He waved his hand, and an enormous amount of energy transformed into a giant hand that wrapped around Yun Kai. With a single teleportation, Yun Kai disappeared from this space. At this moment, Chu Ci felt Lin Rei's action and a smile appeared on his face. Then, he respectfully replied to the place where Lin Rei disappeared, Thank you, young master. Of course, even though Linli had already disappeared and couldn't hear him at all, Chu Ci's words were still sincere. In the space where the little dragon was, the little dragon was resting on the surface of the pool with his eyes closed. At this moment, Lin Rei appeared in front of him with Yun Kai. The little dragon, who was resting with his eyes closed, immediately opened his eyes when he heard the commotion outside. A pair of long legs appeared in front of him. Seeing this, the little dragon immediately rolled his eyes. Then, he looked up and saw Lin Rei's face. Damn, what are you doing? Ugh! Lin Rei, who was standing on the surface of the water, stood in front of the little dragon. When he heard the little dragon's slightly angry tone, he was stunned for a moment. Then, he quickly replied, That Chu Ci's elixir poison has been refined by me. His cultivation is still at the peak Emperor God realm. Therefore, he is standing on my side to learn Talisman Dao. Then, Lin Rei looked around and said as if he already had someone in mind, after thinking about it for a long time. This place is the most suitable place for seclusion, so, he. What? Hearing Lin Rei's words, the little dragon's expression changed and he quickly stopped him. You can't? Absolutely not. How can you cultivate in seclusion here? Absolutely not, no. You, seeing how the little dragon rejected his suggestion so decisively, he knew that this matter was a little difficult to handle. Let me tell you, Linli, you definitely can't stay here. You should know that if you stay here, then where should I go? Have you thought about it? You can't kick me out just because you want to train. Ugh! Lin Rei was a little confused when he heard the little dragon's words. What did he mean by chasing him out? Lin Rei was a little confused. No, that's not right, little dragon. Is that corner over there okay? You saw it too. That corner isn't big, but it's just enough for me, you know. If I say no, it means no. Before Lin Rei could finish his words, the little dragon interrupted him. Lin Rei, it's not that I don't want to let you, but you have to know that people who cultivate Talisman Dao don't follow the rules of nature. Besides, when you cultivate Talisman Dao, it will affect some things around you. If I let you cultivate here, do you think I'll have a good time in the future? At this point, the little dragon rejected Lin Rei even more firmly. So, it's not that I don't want to lend it to you, but as long as I give it to you, I'll have to scram. At this moment, after hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei went silent. He didn't know that there were so many things involved. However, just as Linli was about to change his location, the system's voice rang out. Hearing the system's words, Linli's heart skipped a beat. Lin Rei revealed a smile, while the little dragon was the exact opposite. Alright, little dragon. Since Lin Rei said that he wants to cultivate here, then let him cultivate here. Besides, I remember that you have more than one place. Of course, since you said so, then for the other places I'll… Damn, you beast! Hearing the system's words, Xiaolong's face froze for a moment before turning ugly. His eyes were filled with disdain as he looked at the sky. I say, system, since when are you on the same side as Linli? Although the little dragon said so, he still stood up from the pool obediently and went to the shore. In this regard, after Lin Rei understood, he quickly smiled at the little dragon and thanked it. Hee little dragon, thank you for your generosity. After that, without waiting for the little dragon's response, Lin Rei faced the sky and cupped his hands in gratitude. Thank you. You're welcome. It's just a small matter. Upon hearing the system's words, the little dragon was speechless. What small matter? This was clearly a typical targeting. Besides, the emotionless system actually threatened him. Regarding this, the little dragon couldn't tolerate it. However, he had no choice. In the system, although he and the system had the final say, in the end, the system was still the master and he was the assistant. Therefore, he still had to listen to the system's words. Alright, let's go, little dragon. Let's go take a look at your other dojos. The system's words sounded again. This time, without waiting for the little dragon to speak, a burst of energy instantly enveloped the little dragon and instantly disappeared into space. To this. Looking at this scene, the corners of Lin Rei's mouth twitched slightly, but his heart was already bursting with joy. It wasn't easy to snatch this space from the little dragon, although it wasn't his credit. Looking at this place that had become his place of seclusion, Lin Rei immediately placed Yun Kai on the shore and transmitted a message to wake her up. Wake up! As soon as these words came out, it was like a demonic voice that appeared in Yun Kai's mind and couldn't be dispelled. At the next moment, the moment Lin Rei finished speaking, Yun Kai woke up doubtfully. She lifted her head and looked at Lin Rei, who was standing on top of the pool. When Yun Kai was completely awake, she immediately stood up from the ground and greeted him respectfully. Yun Kai greets young master. Looking at her, Lin Rei was speechless for a moment. Then, he said, Alright, time is tight and the mission is important. Since you want to improve, you can have this book. After saying that, Lin Rei didn't give Yun Kai any time to consider. Then, Lin Rei took out a book made of an unknown animal skin and threw it at Yun Kai instantly. Yunju, I have already checked your constitution just now. Water spiritual root and metal spiritual root. Your constitution isn't suitable for alchemy at all, but this Yunju is suitable for you. Moreover, its grade is many times stronger than your Danzong Sect's cultivation technique. Really? As long as I cultivate it, can I really improve quickly? Hearing Linli's words, Yun Kai couldn't help but catch Yunjue. She asked in a half-believing, half-doubtful voice. Alright, that's all for now. If you don't believe me, you don't have to cultivate it. Seeing how worried she was, Linli's expression changed slightly. Then, he said something to her, sat down on the pool, and went in to cultivate. At this moment, in his mind, the first level of the true enlightenment of talisman had already begun to circulate in his body. Meanwhile, the outside world saw Lin Rei's actions. Yun Kai knew that she had said something wrong, but when she saw Lin Rei's actions, she didn't disturb him anymore. Instead, she found a quiet place, took out Yunju, and flipped to the first page. 2 large words with vigorous elixir rhythm appeared in her eyes. Yunju, when chaos was created, the origin cultivation technique of the 3,000 gods and demons Hall Yen. Cultivation technique attribute is the way of illusion. Chapter 685. Fiend God. At this moment, Yun Kai was stunned by the book made of unknown animal skin in her hand. The 3,000 fiend gods represented the 3,000 great Daos, and now she was holding the Tao of illusion, which represented one of the 3,000 great Dao. How could she not be shocked by such a cultivation technique? However, Linley, who'd already entered a state of cultivating the Tao of Talismans, was still unable to detect his current actions and expressions. He'd changed to the point that he wished for nothing more than for no one to exist in the surroundings, so that he could silently comprehend the essence of the Tao of Talismans by himself. This was because he was deeply attracted by the principles of Talisman Tao when he first saw the truth of Talisman Tao. Moreover, when he laid eyes on the Tao of Talismans for the first time, he was able to confirm that what Xiaolong said earlier was right. The Tao of Talismans and formations really came from the same source. Even though they seemed to be different, and the methods of cultivation were different as well, they were like poles apart. As the saying goes, the world is harmonious and different paths lead to the same destination. At this moment, when he saw the truth of Talisman Tao again, he truly understood the true meaning of these words. However, at this moment they were quiet. No one could disturb them when they were pursuing their own understanding, especially when they were in the system. It was even more impossible for anyone to enter. In the outside world, naturally, it was completely crazy. At this moment, in the secret realm of the Xuanzong sect, Lin Yun, who had come out of a discussion in the main hall, came to the house and looked at the house that his father had built with his own hands. For a moment, Lin Yun fell into silence. At this moment, Xiefeng, who was bored in the room, had been waiting here for Lin Rei to come out of seclusion after parting ways with Lin Rei. However, Lin Yun's aura suddenly broke into her warning zone. Looking at Lin Yun's figure outside, Xiefeng looked at him with a little doubt. During this period, he came here from time to time and did not come in. He just stood outside the door and looked at the house without saying anything. He only sighed occasionally, and his eyes were filled with loneliness. Looking at him, Xiefeng was a little anxious. It was too boring here. The spiritual energy here could not satisfy her at all. Therefore, when she had nothing to do, she could only sleep and find all kinds of things to relieve her boredom. During this period, when she saw Lin Yun sighing, she really wanted to go out and ask him why. "Father, how long will you be in seclusion?" The God Realm knows about the existence of the Xuanzong sect. A year ago, they sent out their most elite disciples and information network. Alas, it won't be long before they find this place. What should we do then? So that's how it is. When he heard Lin Yun's words, an interesting smile appeared on his originally dull face. He then said, "All right, isn't it because of those ants?" Senior. Xiefeng? Lin Yun, who was sighing in silence, suddenly thought of Xiefeng, who he had met at the front gate a year ago. Lin Yun immediately thought of what his male brother had told him about Xiefeng's strength and promptly bowed respectfully. The strong were respected. Although Lin Yun knew that she was his father's friend, he still had to be respectful. Therefore Xiefeng, who was in the wooden house, saw Lin Yun sitting like this. For a moment, she couldn't help but think of Lin Rei, whose face was full of disdain. For a moment, she started to wonder if the young man in front of her was his biological child. However, Evil Phoenix still stood up from the bed and walked to the window as he said to the figure outside, "Actually, it's not that big of a deal. If your father was here, there would only be one outcome. Moreover, there can only be one outcome." What outcome? Hearing Xiefeng's words, Lin Yun asked hesitantly. Alas! Looking at Lin Yun at this moment, she really started to wonder if Lin Yun was that bastard who feared nothing and would risk his life for the people around him. "I say, do you still need to ask me about your father's temper?" Looking at him, Xiefeng continued unhappily, "If your father encountered such a situation, he would only take the initiative to fight back. He wouldn't hide here and wait for negotiations to come. After all, if this place was exposed, it was very likely that the entire sect would be in trouble. Moreover, when we were in the immortal world, he wasn't here at that time, was he?" Hearing this, the doubts on Lin Yun's face finally cleared up. A strange color appeared in his eyes. "Thank you, Senior. I know what to do. Oh. Looking at Lin Yun, Xie Feng smiled and nodded. Take the initiative to attack. Although the sect's foundation is lacking now, any one of the disciples in the sect can be the backer of their sect's holy son. I don't believe that they can defeat our Xuanzong sect. Hearing Lin Yun's words, Xie Feng rolled her eyes and sneered in her heart, "Tsk, what a joke. The Xuanzong sect's foundation is lacking? Haha, what a joke. For hierarch realm cultivators, more than a dozen god emperors, numerous divine monarchs, and countless cultivators below the divine monarch realm. With such a strong foundation, I'm afraid that even a first-grade sect with a rich foundation in the divine world can't compare to them." Thinking of this, Xie Feng smiled. But looking at Lin Yun's appearance, she knew that he might not even know about the existence of these people. But, just because he didn't know didn't mean that these people didn't exist. Thinking of this, Xie Feng said to Lin Yun, "Don't act rashly. Although you can take the initiative to attack, you have to find the first sect to attack first. As the saying goes, kill the chicken to warn the monkey, knock the mountain to warn the tiger. As long as the Xuanzong sect's reputation and methods are exposed to their people, then when the time comes, those sects investigating the Xuanzong sect will naturally know what to do." "That's right." Hearing Xie Feng's words, a smile appeared on Lin Yun's face for a moment. Then, he bowed to the room. "Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Lin Yun is very grateful." "Oh? That's great." Hearing Lin Yun's words, Xie Feng took advantage of this opportunity and said, "Since you said it's better, I'm sure you've heard of my cultivation." Yes. Seeing him nod, Xie Feng smiled and said, "So, you're useless to me. Moreover, I don't lack anything, but I lack someone to talk to." At this point, the evil phoenix paused for a moment before it spoke once more. "Let your daughter in to accompany me. I think she's very cute. Let her accompany me here to relieve my boredom and chat. Of course, if you want to see her, you can come here." "What?" At this moment, hearing Xie Feng's request, Lin Yun was shocked and had a look of disbelief on his face. Yes, he didn't expect her request to be his daughter. Lin Yun hesitated. "That's right, you heard correctly. I only want your daughter. Of course, when Lin Rei comes out of seclusion, she'll regain her freedom." Speaking of this, Xie Feng's lips curled up and revealed a treacherous smile. She said again, "Of course, if you agree to my request, if the sect encounters any trouble, I might lend a helping hand if I'm in a good mood." "You?" Hearing this, Lin Yun understood everything. Wasn't this a disguised threat? However, he had to admit that this idea was pretty good. Whether it was Xie Feng or his daughter, both sides would benefit. After all, Xie Feng was a cultivator in the holy world. As long as she took out something, the result would be obvious. Thinking of this, Lin Yun felt very conflicted. He didn't know if his decision was right. "How is it? Do you agree?" At this moment, in the room, Xie Feng, who was standing by the window, had a look of impatience on her face. She didn't expect Lin Rei's son to be so indecisive and unable to make up his mind. Just like this, after 10 to 20 minutes, Lin Yun's gaze finally became firm. He then said, "Okay, but I have a condition." "Have say it." Hearing Lin Yun agree, Xie Feng heaved a sigh of relief and asked, "My daughter can accompany you, but in your free time, you have to teach my daughter cultivation. After all, we're not by her side, so we can't supervise her, so, haha, you're interesting." Hearing Lin Yun's request, Xie Feng immediately laughed. There was a trace of doubt in her eyes. After all, she was in the hall that year. Back then, when Lin Rei said that he would teach Lin Ling the cultivation method, she remembered that Lin Yun's wife and he were extremely unwilling. But now unnaturally, Lin Yun knew what the evil phoenix was trying to say. In an instant, a trace of awkwardness and guilt appeared on his face, but the determination on his face didn't change. "How is it? This request isn't too much for you at all. Moreover, I don't know when my father will come out of his seclusion. So, if you agree, I'll send my daughter over later. Sigh. Looking at him, Xiefeng sighed and replied, Okay. Send her over. When I have time, I'll teach her the cultivation method. That's great. Hearing Xiefeng agree, Lin Yun instantly revealed a trace of excitement on his face. Then, he bowed respectfully and said, In that case, thank you very much, Senior. In a while, I'll send my daughter over to you. At that time, I hope you can teach her well. You can go. Seeing Lin Yun so excited, Xiefeng really couldn't understand. Others might not know, but she was very clear about Lin Rei's foundation and strength. She really couldn't understand. Clearly, Lin Rei could easily give out cultivation methods that even she was a little envious of, but she really couldn't understand why Lin Yun was like this. Of course, she wasn't the only one who didn't understand. Even Lin Rei himself didn't understand why. Chapter 686. Just like that, Lin Yun left, even though Xiefeng didn't understand. The next day, Lin Yun brought his daughter to Lin Ling's side as promised and left. Xiefeng kept her promise. After Lin Ling came to the wooden house, she taught Lin Ling everything she knew. In her eyes, Lin Ling wasn't just someone who could talk to her. During this period of time, she almost treated Lin Ling as her own disciple. Whether it was the Phoenix Dance of the Nine Heavens, the Undying Flame, the secret techniques of the Phoenix Clan, or the spells that only the Phoenix Clan could learn, Xiefeng taught Lin Ling everything. She didn't hold anything back. Under the guidance of Xiefeng, Lin Yun announced to all the higher-ups and sent by Qi, Dianwei, and Kuei Gang to lead more than 50 cultivators of the Dark Group to intercept the scouting team sent by the Qiankuan Sect. Everyone in the Xuanzong Sect hated the Qiankuan Sect. Therefore, when Lin Yun said this, everyone came to an agreement. Although many sects in the realm of the gods sent people to investigate the Xuanzong Sect, to them, Lin Yun and the entire Xuanzong Sect were especially loyal to the Qiankuan Sect. At this point, the realm of the gods was in chaos and there weren't any peaceful days. Although this was a matter of the cultivators, it couldn't help but affect the ordinary people. Time flashed by like a white steed flitting by a crack, and there wasn't a single trace to be found. In the blink of an eye, 30 years had passed. In the world of ordinary people, 30 years was very important to them. However, for cultivators, 30 years was just a snap of a finger. After a nap, 100 years would pass. However, in these 30 years many things happened. Take the Qiankuan Sect for example. Under Lin Yun's orders, by Qi, Dianwei, and Kuei Gang led more than 50 Dark Group members to a mountain not far from the Qiankuan Sect. For such a long time, the few of them took it as their duty to kill the Qiankuan Sect disciples. 30 years ago, the three of them led the Dark Group to kill the first wave of Qiankuan Sect disciples. The Xuanzong Sect was not to be touched. Anyone who dared to touch the Xuanzong Sect would be killed. When this news spread, many people didn't even listen to it. However, in the following days, the Qiankuan Sect disciples died one after another. This was enough to prove that the message was true. Those sects that had wanted to target the Xuanzong Sect had returned to their sects and never appeared again after this incident. As for the people outside the mountain gate of the Xuanzong Sect, they had been sent here to monitor the situation. When they received the news, they immediately retreated. Because of this, everyone in the God realm couldn't help but tremble when they heard the name Xuanzong Sect. One had to know that the Qiankuan Sect was a top-tier sect. Who would dare to provoke someone who could kill hundreds of thousands of Qiankuan Sect disciples in 30 years? Moreover, among the hundreds of thousands of Qiankuan Sect disciples, the previous sect master of the Qiankuan Sect and some elders were all in the God Emperor realm. In this situation, no one dared to act rashly. Not only that, but in the past 30 years, not only were the sects in the 8 continents restless, even the sects in the 9th continent had started to move towards the 8th continent. Of course, the Xuanzong Sect didn't offend anyone. If anyone offended them, they would *ck them up. Moreover, the Xuanzong sect's reputation in the god realm was notorious. People called them devils, death gods, all sorts of unpleasant things. However, it was also because of this that no one from the ninth continent was friendly or hostile towards the Xuanzong sect. Heavenly Dragon Mountain, Xuanzong sect's secret realm. Beside a pool of water, a woman dressed in blue that resembled gemstones was waving her sword in the air. Whoosh, whoosh, rays of sword light appeared in a magnificent manner. Sword light should have been cold and dangerous. However, if someone saw it now, they would definitely change their impression of it. Ha! Phoenix dances in the 9 heavens. Whoosh! A voice came out of the woman's mouth. She held her sword in front of her chest, and a fiery red phoenix instantly appeared behind her. It looked up at the sky. The phoenix was lifelike and had an extremely high temperature. Its eyes were arrogant and cold, and the noble aura it exuded reflected its user's cultivation. Go! She sensed the phoenix behind her and saw that its energy had reached its peak. Then, she waved her sword and stabbed forward. Whoa! In an instant, the phoenix behind the woman waved her sword. Then, it charged forward. Bang! There was a loud bang. The moment the fiery red phoenix appeared in the originally quiet place, it was as if flames had instantly filled the area within a 1-mile radius. Haha, Ling, you've been here for more than 30 years. All these years, you've grown from a little girl who was nothing. Now, you're like a hibiscus rising from the water. It's very moving. Yes, I was still young back then. I didn't expect 30 years to pass in the blink of an eye. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. The moment she heard this voice, the woman standing in the air turned around and spoke to the woman standing beside the wooden house. Yes, that little girl from back then has already become a slender and elegant young lady. Moreover, in the past 30 years, your cultivation has also skyrocketed from 0 to the divine guard realm. I have to say that you're an extremely talented seedling. At this moment, the woman standing beside the wooden house was none other than Xiefeng, whom Lin Rei had asked to teach. And this girl standing in the air was none other than the little girl that Lin Yun had sent over, Lin Ling. After more than 30 years, under Lin Ling's continuous efforts, she had finally learned almost everything that Xiefeng knew. At the same time, the moment she learned Xiefeng's teachings, she was accepted as a disciple. Lin Yun was overjoyed when he found out about this. How could he not be happy to have a Saint Realm expert as his daughter's master? During this period, Lin Yun and Sun Yuan came to visit every few days. Even Xiefeng was a little annoyed by this girl. Phew! Talisman Dao. At this moment, Lin Rei, who was sitting on the surface of the water in the system, suddenly spoke. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a happy smile. Ding dong, young master's talisman Dao has broken through to the Grandmaster realm. I hope you can continue to work hard. Grandmaster realm. Lin Yun listened to the system. Lin Li chuckled, then stood up from the pool of water. Not bad. 30 years, it only took you 30 years to improve your talisman Dao from 0 to your current level. Not bad, not bad. The sudden voice made Lin Rei frown. 30 years? Yes, 30 years. Since the last time you went into seclusion, 30 years have naturally passed. But fortunately, you have cultivated your talisman Dao to such a level in 30 years. That's good enough. Sigh. At this moment, the person who spoke was the little dragon, who was chased out by Lin Rei. After hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei sighed and said casually, I thought I would directly break through to the honorable realm. But I didn't expect that after breaking through to the Grandmaster realm 10 years ago, I haven't had any breakthroughs. Although I'm still at the peak of the Grandmaster realm, I don't feel any comprehension of the honorable realm at all. After hearing Lin Rei's words, the little dragon rolled its eyes and explained to him in a bad mood. Sigh. I really don't know how to explain it to you. Then, the little dragon's tone returned to normal and it explained, Lin Rei, you have to know that you were able to make such a breakthrough in 30 years because you have cultivated the 3 fields of array formation, alchemy, and weapon refinement. Otherwise, I'm afraid even if you had 100 years, you wouldn't be able to cultivate talisman Dao to this level. So be content. Besides, looking at Lin Rei, the little dragon didn't seem to give him a chance to speak. Besides, with your current state, if outsiders know that you haven't broken through to the level you want in 30 years, I'm afraid they will beat you to death. Ugh, looking at the little dragon being so agitated, Lin Rei was taken aback and fell into deep thought. Sigh. Alright, this is a small matter. Don't think about it anymore. Anyway, this is only a secondary occupation for you. Your main goal is to break through your cultivation. Now that 30 years have passed, there are still 60 years to go before you hand over the Corpse King pills. So do your best. After hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei was speechless. Got it? Haha. Seeing Linli act this way, Xiaolong chuckled and didn't say anything else. Instead, he walked over to the pool, sat down, closed his eyes, and entered a meditative state. Ugh, Lin Rei was taken aback by the little dragon's actions. After recovering, he extended his divine sense and found where Yun Kai was. Haha, it hasn't been 30 years. I didn't expect her cultivation to break through to the early God Emperor realm and enter the middle God Emperor realm. It seems that the cloud art suits her well. Sensing her level of cultivation, Linli chuckled. Then, with a flash, he appeared in front of her and transmitted his divine sense. Alright, wake up and follow me to do something. Ugh, Yun Kai, who was in the middle of cultivation, heard the familiar voice. Then, her body trembled and she quickly withdrew from her cultivation and woke up. Congratulations, young master! The moment Yun Kai opened her eyes, she saw Lin Rei. She immediately stood up and bowed respectfully to him. Alright, let's go and find Chu Ci. Looking at Yun Kai, Lin Rei smiled and immediately used his cultivation to pull her up from the ground. Then, he disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he was already at Chu Ci's place. Chu Ci? At this moment, when they arrived at Chu Ci's space, the first thing Yun Kai saw was her fiancé whom she hadn't seen for many years. At this moment, she couldn't help but call out to him. Chapter 687. Kai Chu Ci, who was meditating, was jolted awake when she heard Yun Kai's voice. She turned around and saw her fiancé whom she had not seen for a long time. However, Chu Ci was stunned when he sensed the aura from Yun Kai's body. Disbelief filled his eyes as he probed. Kai, your cultivation, could it be, yes? Yun Kai knew what Chu Ci wanted to ask, so she nodded and replied, That's right. During this period of time, young master gave me a cultivation method. As a result, as I cultivated, I reached my current level. At this moment, Cloudy's words instantly caused Cloudy to be speechless, while Linli was stunned. What did she mean by broke through? If anyone else heard that, they would probably want to kill themselves with a piece of tofu. Alright. Lin Rei nodded with a smile. We've been here for so many years. Let's go out and take a look. Then, you two should prepare to lead the way to the 9th continent. Yes, Lin Rei's words instantly energized the two. They already knew about Lin Rei's plan, so they were not surprised at all. Okay. Seeing that the two of them had agreed, Linli didn't say anything else. Instantly, his consciousness rushed out and wrapped around them. With a thought, the three of them disappeared from the system. Sigh. They're finally gone. At this moment, in another space in the system, the little dragon, who was sitting on a pond, had been paying attention to Lin Rei's actions. The moment the three of them left the system, the little dragon heaved a sigh of relief. Haha, if Linli were to hear what you just said, you'd be in trouble. As soon as Xiaolong finished speaking, the system's voice rang out. Xiaolong immediately said, You, and stop talking nonsense. However, his expression was not very good at this moment. It was as if he had eaten feces. It was very ugly. Heavenly Dragon Mountain, Xuanzong Sect's secret realm. At the place where Lin Rei disappeared 30 years ago, Lin Rei and the other two, who had disappeared from the system, suddenly reappeared. Whoosh, At this moment, the moment Lin Rei appeared, he heard a sharp sword aura piercing through the air. In response, Lin Rei did not even think about it. He waved his hand and used his spiritual energy to destroy the incoming sword aura. Xiefeng. In the instant that the sword aura was destroyed, Lin Rei could feel the undying flames from the sword aura. In the realm of the gods, he knew that only Xiefeng and the flaming tiger possessed the undying flames. However, their cultivations paled in comparison to the previous attack. They were extremely weak. At this moment, when he did not know who the other party was, Lin Rei released his divine sense and instantly probed in the direction of the sword aura that emitted the undying flames. What he saw was a tall woman wearing blue clothes. Her skin was as white as jade, and her temperament was even more indescribable. Looking at her, Lin Rei was stunned for a moment. He felt a sense of familiarity with this girl, but he was sure that this was the first time he had seen her. Lin Rei was puzzled. However, although he did not recognize the sword aura in the air, he saw another figure. This person was none other than Xiefeng, who was looking at the woman in the air with admiration. She was the one who had asked him to take care of her before going into closed-door cultivation. Looking at her, Lin Rei relaxed. Just now, when he did not recognize the woman, he had been filled with murderous intent. However, after seeing Xiefeng's current appearance, he knew that the woman in the air was one of them and was someone worthy of his trust. Looking at the two of them, Lin Li smiled. Then, he turned to Chu Ci and the other two and said, You can go. Find a place to rest. It's been so many years since the two of you caught up. Is one night enough for you? Enough. Thank you, young master. The sudden surprise stunned the two of them for a moment. Then, they bowed respectfully with excitement. With a flash, they disappeared in front of him. Ha! Looking at how fast they were, Lin Rei smiled awkwardly. They were really in a hurry. Seeing the two of them disappear, Lin Rei looked down and walked towards Xiefeng with a smile. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, just like that, he walked towards Xiefeng. Not sure if she deliberately did not notice Lin Rei, or if it was because of the woman in the air, but even after Lin Rei arrived in front of Xiefeng for a long time, Xiefeng was still busy with her head and looked gratified. Sigh. Looking at her, Lin Rei sighed and coughed. Cough. Xiefeng? Xiefeng, who was watching the woman in the air brandishing her sword, heard the call from beside her. She immediately came back to her senses and saw Lin Rei with an awkward smile. Hey, you're back? Hearing Xiefeng's question, Lin Rei was speechless. He was now sure that she did not see him before. What's wrong? Seeing that Lin Li didn't reply, Demonic Phoenix asked in confusion, What are you doing? No. Nothing. Looking at her, Lin Rei said, Thank you for all these years. I came out of seclusion this time, mainly because I wanted to visit my mother and my little brother and sister. I did not intend to disturb you, but I did not expect to be hit by the sword aura of the woman who was brandishing her sword the moment I came out of the shower. So I wanted to say hello to you. At this point, Lin Rei did not intend to let Xiefeng continue the conversation. After he finished speaking, he used his divine sense to look at the woman who was going to Long Xing. Lin Rei spoke again. All right, I thought you would be bored. Now that you have a disciple, I guess you won't be lonely. Since that's the case, I will leave first. The situation is urgent. I'll talk. She listened to Lin Rei ramble on. Just as she was about to say, I'll talk, she saw that Lin Rei was nowhere to be seen. At this moment, Xie Feng's face darkened. Little brat, you're not putting me in your eyes at all, huh? In the past, you would at least let me say something. Now, it's all one-sided. Good kid, you're really good. At this moment, Linley, who had just left, didn't know that the evil phoenix had already sentenced him to death. Linley hadn't expected that the evil phoenix would hold such a grudge. Moreover, in his heart, this was not a big deal at all. Master! At this moment, Lin Ling, who was brandishing her sword in the air, had already retracted it and floated down to Xie Feng. At this moment, Xie Feng, who was still angry because of what happened just now, did not recognize Lin Ling's words. Then, a trace of killing intent rushed out inadvertently. Lin Ling, who was standing beside her, was instantly enveloped by the killing intent. With a whang, the coldness of the killing intent instantly spread throughout Lin Ling's body. At the same time, Lin Ling's body was completely immobilized at this moment. However, because of Lin Ling's voice, Xie Feng was also startled awake. After seeing Lin Ling's situation, Xie Feng immediately knew what was going on. Looking at Lin Ling, she quickly retracted the killing intent that she revealed. Then, a red spirit qi rushed out of her body and entered Lin Ling's body. Phew! At this moment, Lin Ling, who could not move her body, felt this terrifying yet warm and gentle energy. Everything from before completely disappeared at this moment. It disappeared without a trace, as if it had never appeared. Sigh. You? Looking at Lin Ling, Xie Feng revealed a trace of guilt and used her hand to tap Lin Ling's head. Lin Ray just came out of solitary cultivation. Go and take a look. Grandpa. Grandpa came out of solitary cultivation? Hearing that Lin Ray came out of solitary cultivation, Lin Ling's eyes lit up. The corner of her mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a happy smile. Her face was full of excitement. Look, how old are you already? Why are you still acting like a child? Looking at her, Xie Feng revealed a trace of doting in her eyes. When Lin Ray saw you, you were only 4 or 5 years old. Then, Lin Ray went into solitary cultivation. Counting it this way, you guys have only met once. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded obediently. That year. Grandpa said that he would teach me cultivation method, but after Mother rejected it, we never met again. At this point, a trace of disappointment appeared on Lin Ray's face. Regarding this, Xie Feng, who had been observing her, did not say anything. Okay, let's not talk about it anymore. The silence between the two caused the atmosphere to become extremely tense. Lin Ling spoke first. Master, I'll go and see Grandpa first. I haven't seen him in a long time. It seems he doesn't recognize me anymore. Go ahead. I reckon that you'll only be able to meet him after resting for a while. It'll be a long time before you can see him again. Take this opportunity and have a chat with him. Also, take this opportunity to ruthlessly extort him. He has more good things than your master. Lin Ling smiled awkwardly and nodded dubiously. Then, she tidied up her messy clothes and hair and walked outside. Sigh. Xie Feng stood on the spot and sighed. Thinking about Lin Ray's words, she began to worry. For some reason, after Lin Ray said that he was going out, she began to feel uneasy. Regarding this, Xie Feng felt very strange because this feeling only appeared when she was suppressed during the Dragon Han calamity. She did not know how many hundreds of millions of years had passed since then. It was precisely because of this that Xie Feng began to worry. No, this time, even if he doesn't let me follow him, I have to follow him. Thinking about this, Xie Feng's gaze became firm. It could be seen that she had already made up her mind, and those who were familiar with her knew that she was serious when they saw her expression. At this moment, Lin Ray, who was at the exit of the secret realm, had already arrived at the entrance of the palace allocated to his mother. He looked up at the signboard in the middle of the palace. The words Fenghe Palace were written on the signboard. All the disciples of the Xuanzong sect knew that the mother of the founder of the Xuanzong sect lived here. Hence, this palace was sealed as a forbidden area in the Xuanzong sect. Looking at the three simple words, Phoenix Peace Hall, although Linley looked very relaxed, his heart was very heavy. That was because he hadn't been here for 1,000 years. Ever since that incident, he hadn't been here. Big brother! Just as Linley was having a hard time deciding, a voice suddenly rang out, instantly pulling Linley back to reality. Hearing the voice, he turned his head and saw a middle-aged man not far to the left looking at him. Some fragmented images in Lin Ray's mind floated before his eyes. Immediately, his eyes became wet. Big brother! Your eyes, why are they? It's okay. It's just temporary blindness. When your cultivation is high enough, you'll be able to see again. Be careful. In response to his brother's question, he had been asked many times since he returned to the Xuanzong sect. Moreover, this matter was probably not a secret in the Xuanzong sect. I know. Hearing Lin Ray's explanation, Lin Feng quickly walked up to him and asked, "You're here to see our mother, right?" Yes, I haven't been here for a long time. Our mother has been well all these years. How is her health? Is she well? Good." Looking at his big brother's expression, Lin Feng did not dare to delay for a moment and hurriedly told him about their mother's recent situation. "Our mother's health is very good. Not only that, our mother's cultivation has already reached the level of a divine guard. Moreover, she should still be cultivating at this time." Divine guard, hearing about his mother's current cultivation, Lin Ray was shocked. He really did not expect his mother to have cultivated to such a level. "What's wrong? Is it hard to believe?" "In fact, I don't dare to believe it either. However, Mother said that in order to be with us, in order to let you come back and see that she's still alive, she has been cultivating for part of the day and night. For so many years, Mother has basically not rested. Every day she has been cultivating. Sometimes it's even more terrifying. One closed-door cultivation can last for 100 years. In the entire Xuanzong sect, only you can do this." Sigh. Hearing his brother's words, for a moment, a sense of guilt rose from his heart. At this moment, he felt that he owed his mother too much. "Let's go. Brother, Mother is still cultivating. Why don't you come to my place first? You can also meet your nephew and the 3rd or 4th generation juniors." "What? 3rd or 4th generation?" Lin Ray, who was still feeling guilty about his mother's matter, suddenly heard his brother's words. Suddenly Lin Ray was stunned. 3rd or 4th generation? This meant that he had become an ancestor. Thinking of this, Lin Ray found it hard to accept. He had always thought that he was still young. Although he had a granddaughter, it was not a big deal. However, 3 or 4 generations had appeared. At this moment, he began to feel that he was old. Chapter 688. That's right. Seeing that his brother was so surprised, Lin Feng said with interest, "The children below are working hard to carry on our Lin family's bloodline. From now on, our Lin family will be considered a big family." Yes, a big family." Looking at him, Lin Ray smiled and said, "Since that's the case, let's go and take a look. I originally wanted to see Mother, but now it's not a bad idea to see the descendants. After this, I don't know how long I'll have to wait before I come back. Let's recognize them this time so that we won't be unable to recognize them when we're outside." "What?" Hearing Lin Ray's words, Lin Feng was stunned. Then, he said anxiously, "Brother, you're leaving again?" "Yes, that's right." Then what about Mother? You're not going to see her?" Hearing this, Lin Ray turned around and faced the main hall. His divine sense rushed out instantly. Looking at the door, he sighed. Forget it. Since Mother is cultivating, it's not good to disturb her. Moreover, I don't want to see that person. If I see Mother, I'm afraid there will be a lot of unhappiness. Saying this, Lin Ray turned to Lin Feng and continued, since that's the case, it's better not to see her. We can't talk about it now because that matter is very important to me. Moreover, I don't have much time left. Then, alright. Since he had already said this, he knew that no matter what he said, he couldn't persuade his brother. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't try to persuade him. Since that's the case, let's go and sit at my place. Don't leave today. Let's catch up. Okay, lead the way. Just like that, under Lin Feng's guidance, Lin Li followed Lin Feng to another palace behind the palace. Brother, this is where I live. As for the juniors, I'm afraid they're still cultivating. Go in and wait for a while. I'll go and wake them up now. Since they're all cultivating, I think it's better. When he heard that his back was still cultivating, Lin Ray wanted to say no. However, before he could say anything, Lin Feng interrupted him. Don't. You're a busy man. I don't know how long it will be before we meet again. Moreover, you can't not know the descendants of the clan. After saying that, Lin Feng refused to agree no matter what. Then, without waiting for Lin Li to speak again, he disappeared from where he stood. Seeing this scene, Lin Ray sighed and walked into the palace. Although the decorations within the palace couldn't be considered extravagant, they weren't too far off. Overall, however, it was still quite good. Seeing this, Lin Li smiled and found a place to sit, then sat down and began to wait quietly. Time trickled by. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. During this time, Lin Ray seemed to be sitting, but in reality, he had already entered the system. I say, why are you here again? Didn't you say you were leaving? Why do you still have time to come here? At this moment, Lin Li, who was sitting on the pool, looked at Lin Li who had suddenly appeared. For a moment, he asked warily, as if he was afraid that Lin Li would snatch this place away from him. However, Lin Ray was naturally aware of the little dragon's actions at this moment. Therefore, looking at him, Lin Ray did not beat around the bush and directly asked the question in his heart. Okay, don't be petty. This time, I'm here to ask you something else. Ah? What is it? Say it. It's nothing. It's just that my talisman Dao has reached the zone level, right? But I heard that they divide talismans into grades from the 1st to the 9th, and then the supreme grade. At this point, Lin Li hesitated for a moment, and then he spoke again. I just want to ask, based on the classification of talisman Taoism in the godly realm, what grade should my master talisman Taoism be? At this moment, the little dragon, who was sitting on the surface of the water, listened to Lin Ray's question and felt helpless for a moment. He originally thought that it would be a difficult question to solve, but he did not expect that in the end, it would be a question without any technical content. In this regard, the little dragon was very helpless, but in order to let Lin Ray leave quickly, he still answered. Grade 8. Your talisman Taoism cultivation is now grade 8. It can be said that the master level is grade 8. As for grade 6 and grade 8, it will have to wait until you break through to the supreme level. If you want to break through to the supreme grade, then you have to break through to the peak of the venerable level. At that time, you will be the so-called legendary supreme grade in the godly realm. Oh, so that's it. After listening to the little dragon's explanation, he roughly understood some of the classification. However, when he thought of the supreme grade, there was still the saint grade and even Hongmeng. In an instant a new question arose. Then what is the classification of the saint grade? And Hongmeng, if I reach Hongmeng, then… Stop. After listening to Lin Ray's question, the little dragon frowned. Without waiting for him to say yes, he quickly stopped him and said, I say, do you have nothing better to do? There are so many things to do, and you are only at the master level now. If you have the time, you might as well hurry up and practice talisman Taoism or cultivation. As for the saint grade and Hongmeng that you mentioned, when you reach that level, come and find me. After saying that, without waiting for Lin Ray to finish the question in his heart, and without waiting for Lin Ray to finish his next sentence, the little dragon waved his sleeve. Lin Ray only felt his vision turn black, and his body lost consciousness. When he felt his intuition again, he knew that he had been forced out of the system by the little dragon. TSK, stingy. Feeling that he had returned to his body, for a moment, Lin Ray really couldn't hold back and directly opened his mouth to say. At this moment, some auras of different strengths came from outside. In response, the moment he felt these auras, Lin Ray instinctively released his divine sense. In an instant, he saw that the leader of those people outside was his younger brother. At this moment, he also knew that these people were his younger brother's descendants. For a moment, Lin Ray smiled when he felt their cultivation at this moment. Although some of them had not reached the divine realm, the weakest among them had already reached the immortal venerable realm. Regarding this, how could Lin Ray not be happy? After all, they were all descendants of the Lin family. Thinking of this, Lin Feng led a group of people into the main hall. Linley, who had been observing them with his divine sense, didn't stand up when he saw them enter the main hall. Instead, he sat down and smiled at them with a mask on his face. "Big brother, these are my descendants." At this moment, Lin Ray arrived in front of Lin Feng. Seeing the smile on his face, Lin Feng pointed at the group of people behind him and introduced them. Got it." Hearing Lin Feng's words, Lin Ray looked at them with his divine sense, memorizing their faces by heart. After all, if they were to encounter danger outside, he would be able to save them if he met them. "Alright, since you are all descendants of Xiao Feng, then you are all members of the Lin family." Saying this, Lin Ray's originally smiling face instantly turned serious. "Here, I don't have any requirements for you. However, you must remember that if you are a member of the Lin family, then you must abide by the rules of the Lin family." Saying this, Lin Ray stood up. Instantly, an invisible aura of a ruler crushed everyone's bodies. Firstly, as a member of the Lin family, you must not reap without sowing. If you want something, you must work hard. Secondly, you must not kill the innocent. However, you must remember that if someone respects me, I will return the favor tenfold. On the other hand, if someone wants to stir up trouble or even have the intention to kill, then needless to say, although the Lin family does not want to cause trouble, we are not afraid of it. Thirdly, those are the first two rules. If there are offenders, the Ministry of Justice will not let them off. No matter who they are, as long as they have committed a crime, they must bear the punishment that they deserve. Yes, we will remember. Hearing this, the group didn't have anything else to say. At this moment, beads of cold sweat appeared on everyone's foreheads. Even Lin Feng, who was at the side, was like this. It was said that women changed their faces faster than flipping the pages of a book. However, at this moment, everyone saw that men changed their faces even faster. Just a moment ago, Lin Ray's expression was as cold as ice. In the next moment, it turned into a warm river breeze and a gentle smile. "Alright, since we're done talking about serious matters, let's talk about private matters." Saying this, Lin Ray flipped his hands. More than 20 bottles of pills appeared in his hands. "Come, I don't have anything to give you. However, it depends on your strength. Some of you have broken through to the godly state and some haven't." At this point, Lin Ray raised his head and looked at everyone with his divine consciousness. He continued, "Although this bottle of pills doesn't have much use, it is very useful for you now. If you eat it, you might be able to break through to the godly state." "Big brother, this. At this moment, Lin Feng, who was at the side, heard this and immediately stepped forward to refuse. However, the younger generation of the Lin family, who hadn't broken through to the godly state, looked at the pills with passion in their eyes. However, that was all. There was nothing else other than passion. Lin Ray, who had been observing them, felt relieved when he saw their expressions. That was because there was nothing that Lin Rei didn't want to see in their eyes other than passion. Xiao Feng, you've taught your children well indeed. Lin Li smiled and patted Lin Feng's shoulder. You can give them these pills. Anyway, I don't need them. If you don't want them, I can only throw them all away. Lin Feng nodded and said, You can give them these pills. I don't need them anyway. As he said this, he grabbed the pill bottle in his hand and made a gesture of throwing something out, as if he was afraid that his younger brother wouldn't agree. Don't. At that moment, Lin Feng, who had been trying to shirk the responsibility, rushed forward and snatched the pill bottle from Lin Feng's hand when he heard what Lin Feng had done. I want it, okay? Seeing him like this, a smile appeared on Lin Li's face. His heart sank into silence. A scene like this was extremely joyous and harmonious. When had he ever thought like this before? Unfortunately, it was still not the right time. Seeing that Lin Feng had distributed the pills to his descendants, and that everything was fine, Lin Li stood up and said, Little Feng, in the future, I'll have to trouble you to take care of Mother. And those little brats, if possible, don't let them live like flowers in a greenhouse. That's not good for them. Yes, I understand. Looking at his brother, Lin Feng was stunned for a moment before he quickly responded. As long as you understand. Looking at him, Lin Rei didn't say anything else and walked out. All right. Just as Lin Rei was about to step out of the hall, he suddenly stopped and didn't look back. Remember, when Mother wakes up, tell her that I'll find time to come back and see her. Although cultivation is good, the most important thing is the state of mind. Remember? With that, Lin Rei didn't look back and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Standing in the store, Lin Feng didn't say anything. He silently looked at the departing figure and finally closed his eyes. Just one more place, wait for me. At this moment, Lin Rei walked out of the hall and looked at a mountain peak not far away. Lin Rei's heart softened and his previous calmness completely disappeared. With a whoosh, Lin Rei's figure instantly disappeared and rushed towards the mountain peak in the west. His speed was so fast that it was as if he had caught a glimpse of a graceful swan. Whoosh! At this moment, in front of Feng He Hall, a woman wearing blue clothes came here with a worried expression. But when she saw the tightly shut door, her breathing became more urgent. What's going on? There's no one at Father's place, there's no one at the palace, there's no one at great-grandmother's place. Where did he go? At this moment, the woman who came to Feng He Hall wasn't a person but Lin Ling, who had left the secret realm. After leaving the secret realm, she immediately rushed to Tai He Hall and then to the discussion hall. However, she still didn't see Lin Rei's figure. In the end, the only place she could think of was Feng He Hall. But now, Feng He Hall's door was tightly shut. This made her feel a sliver of despair. No, wait, there's also Second Grandpa, yes, Second Grandpa. Just when Lin Ling was feeling dejected, she suddenly remembered that her grandpa had a brother. Immediately, Lin Ling became energized and didn't stop. She took a step and instantly rushed out 100 meters. About 2 minutes later, Lin Ling was at the back of Feng He Hall where Lin Feng lived. At this moment, Lin Feng and his descendants didn't leave. They were sitting in the hall and chatting. At this moment, when Lin Ling came to the door and saw the situation in the store, she immediately took a step and disappeared. When she appeared again, she was already before Lin Feng. At this moment, Lin Feng, who was chatting with his descendants, suddenly saw someone appear before him. Immediately, everyone became alert. However, when the crowd saw who it was, they let down their guard against her and smiled. Sigh. Little Ling Er? So it's you. Chapter 689. Second Grandpa, did my grandpa come here? I've searched many places but couldn't find him. If you know where he is, please tell me. Looking at Lin Ling, Lin Feng was surprised. He didn't expect his big brother to not visit his descendant. Second grandpa, please tell me, did my grandpa come here? At this moment, Lin Ling's voice sounded again. Lin Feng came back to his senses and quickly replied, Little Ling don't panic. As he spoke, Lin Feng glanced at the crowd and said, My elder brother did come. He came just a moment ago, right after you. However, I don't know where he is now. Hearing this, Lin Ling was disappointed. Second grandpa, did my grandpa say where he was going? Where? Let me think about it. Then, Lin Feng fell into deep thought. However, the next moment, he seemed to have thought of something. By the way, my big brother said that he came to see my mother this time. After that, he will leave. He seems to be going out to train. What? Going out to train? Hearing this, Lin Ling panicked. She wanted to come out and see her grandfather who had been with her for more than 30 years, but she didn't expect that the last news she received was this. Yes, that's what Big Brother said. Seeing the disappointed Lin Ling, Lin Feng comforted her. It's okay, Big Brother will be gone for at most a few hundred years. He will be back after that. You can see him then. Anyway, we have a lifespan. A few hundred years is nothing. No, I must see Grandpa. At this moment, Lin Ling, who was standing on the spot with a disappointed expression, didn't hear Lin Feng's words at all. Second grandpa, I'm leaving first. Then, without waiting for Lin Feng's reply, Lin Ling instantly turned into a breeze and disappeared into the palace. Lin Ling's actions made everyone's eyes light up. Lin Feng was full of praise. TSK, this child is amazing. By the looks of it, she has the talent to surpass her father. Huh? So amazing! At this moment, the descendant heard his grandpa's words and couldn't help but take a few more glances at the direction Lin Ling left. He couldn't help but praise her. At this moment, Lin Ling couldn't hear it at all. Even if she did, she would probably smile. She didn't fly towards the Sect. Instead, she flew towards the best palace in the Xuanzong Sect. At this moment, in the highest hall of the Xuanzong Sect, Lin Yun was discussing something with the higher-ups of the Xuanzong Sect. At this moment, the entire hall was silent. No one dared to speak. The atmosphere was extremely solemn. Smoke rose from all directions, as if a war was about to break out. Qianquan Sect is about to retaliate. Even a cornered rabbit will bite back, and a cornered dog will jump over a wall. Qianquan Sect's retaliation is really strong. I wonder where they found a group of emperors and 4 hierarch experts. Seems like Qianquan Sect is going all out this time. At this moment, among the silent crowd, a middle-aged man with a murderous aura looked worriedly at the crowd and said. It was this voice that broke the silence. This person was none other than Bai Qi, the warlord who had been summoned by Linli. I wonder where Qianquan Sect found so many experts. This way, the original plan of slowly exhausting Qianquan Sect to death is all ruined. Saya. Originally, they could have annihilated one of the top sects in the god world. But now, they got themselves into trouble. There was no lack of arguments, but Lin Yun, who was sitting on the throne, didn't say a word. But looking at his gloomy face, it was clear that this matter was very serious. Sigh. With a sigh, the discussions of the crowd instantly died down. At this moment, everyone's eyes fell on him. Since this matter has already come to this, what can you do? It doesn't matter. Whatever comes, as long as they dare to come. At this moment, Lin Yun's words silenced everyone. Facing 4 ultimate gods, who could win? Sigh. At this moment, everyone sighed at the same time. Then, the scene fell into silence again. Lin Yun, who was in the upper seat, didn't say anything at this moment because he was well aware of their current strength. Father, father, at this moment, just as everyone was falling silent, a voice rang out, causing everyone's gazes to fall on the ground floor of the main hall. Another day. And after this shout, everyone present knew who the person who had come was. Because in the entire Xuanzong Sect, only the daughter of Lin Yun, the sect leader of the Xuanzong sect, Lin Ling, could call him father. As expected, Lin Ling's figure appeared in front of everyone not long after. However, she seemed to be very anxious. She didn't greet everyone when she saw them and immediately disappeared from the door. When she reappeared, she was already in front of Lin Yun. Father, shut up, the older you get, the more irregular you become. You can't even handle meeting your elders? Is this what Senior Xiefeng taught you? At this moment, seeing his daughter like this, Lin Yun's face suddenly turned gloomy. He directly interrupted her and lectured her coldly. Seeing her father like this, Lin Ling suddenly remembered where she was. Then, with an expression of knowing that she was wrong, she turned around and bowed to everyone below. Uncles, Grandpa, Grandma, I know I was wrong, please forgive me. It's fine, Ling Er is so anxious. She must have something important to say. Those who don't know can't be blamed, right? You go first. Yes. Ling Er, if you have something to say, just say it. We're not in a hurry anyway. Yes. Seeing this, the people below were shocked and quickly said, You're wrong, Lin Ling, you're wrong. Sigh. Looking at the people below, Lin Yun, who was sitting in his seat, naturally knew why they were like this. It was none other than Lin Rei's suppression and Lin Rei's attitude when he first met Lin Ling regarding this. Lin Yun sighed and asked his daughter, Speak, what made you so anxious? Grandpa came out of seclusion. I came out to look for him, but I couldn't find him anywhere. I came here before, but I didn't see him outside, so I left. Then, I went to Great-Grandma's place, but I still couldn't find him. However, he went to Second Grandpa's place, and Second Grandpa said that Grandpa was about to leave again. So, I came to ask you, do you know where Grandpa is most likely to be? What? Father came out of seclusion? Young Master came out of seclusion? At this moment, the news that Lin Ling said shocked everyone present, but then a trace of joy appeared on their faces. Sect Master, since Young Master came out of seclusion, then if we tell Young Master about this matter, I believe that with Young Master's help, the crisis of the sect will be easily resolved. We can even directly push the sect to become one of the top sects in the God realm. At this moment, after hearing that Lin Rei came out of seclusion, Bai Qi, who was standing below, immediately went up and spoke up. Yes, as long as Young Master helps, the sect will definitely be able to survive this crisis, and even better than before. At this moment, everyone stood up, and they all agreed with Bai Qi's idea. Yes, I also think that this matter is feasible, but this matter has to be reported to Father. If he is not willing, I believe that none of us here can do anything. Yes. Originally, everyone thought that there was hope as if they were injected with chicken blood, but Lin Yun's words once again brought everyone back to square one. Father, I don't care about your matters. I just want to know where Grandpa is now. Moreover, Grandpa is about to leave. I'm afraid that if we don't hurry, Grandpa will leave. Moreover, Second Grandpa also said that after Grandpa leaves this time, it is very likely that he will only return after a few hundred years. Yes, finding Father is more important. At this moment, Lin Yun reacted. He quickly stood up and said to the people below, Everyone, Ling Er is right. If Father really travels again, it is very likely that it will be a long time before he returns. So, let's hurry up and find Father. Yes, we will do as you say. Everyone present agreed with Lin Yun's order, because this was not only related to the power of the sect, but also the date when they would meet again. Good, in that case, let's disperse. We have the right to find Father. With that, Lin Yun's figure disappeared in the next moment. Then, Bai Qi, Dian Wei, and slowly they disappeared one by one. Lin Ling only reacted after everyone had disappeared. TSK, as expected of a powerhouse, they are so fast. Seeing everyone disappear, Lin Ling was envious of their strength. However, in order to find Lin Rei as soon as possible, she did not stay here for long. She immediately used her cultivation method and disappeared from the hall. There were still people in the hall before. At this moment, the entire hall fell into complete silence. At this moment, because of the news that Lin Rei had come out of seclusion, the entire Xuanzong sect was restless. Everyone began to look for Lin Rei. However, the person they were looking for had already arrived at another forbidden area of the Xuanzong sect. That was Jin Ling's grave. At this moment, standing in front of the gate of the cemetery and looking at the black-yellow flowers all over the mountain, Lin Rei smiled. However, it was a heart-wrenching smile. "Linger I'm here to see you." Looking at the cemetery, Lin Rei stopped at the gate for a long time. Then, he stepped forward and pushed open the gate. The scene inside appeared in his mind. At this moment, the inside of the cemetery was very different from before. However, the difference was that the outside was filled with black-yellow flowers, while the inside was filled with chrysanthemums. This was Jin Ling's favorite flower when she was alive. Chrysanthemums were not spiritual herbs or divine treasures, but their vitality was indeed very strong. Especially after coming to the God realm and being nourished by the spiritual qi of the God realm, the chrysanthemums grew even stronger. Chrysanthemums of various colors filled the entire cemetery and surrounded Jin Ling's grave, which was buried in the center of the cemetery. However, next to the grave, an old man who seemed to be in his early years was kneeling next to the grave. In his hand was a long sword filled with powerful sword aura. This is... As he stared at the old man, Linley's mind began to quickly search for any memories related to this old man. Yes. Back in the Gorge of Death, most of his memories had been wiped away. All that remained were fragmented memories. However, Lin Rei was filled with surprise towards this old man. It was not only because of the longsword in his hand that was filled with sword aura, but also because of his cultivation. Although the old man did not reveal his cultivation, Lin Rei could feel that this old man was definitely very strong. Looking at him, Lin Rei stepped forward. As soon as he stepped into the cemetery, a vigorous sword intense soared into the sky and swarmed over. Not only that, but even the old man kneeling in front of the grave, whose eyes were originally closed and whose aura could not be sensed, opened his eyes the moment Lin Rei stepped into the cemetery. At this moment, he stood up. Break! Standing at the door, Linley could feel the majestic sword will. It was like an ancient beast that had been asleep for a long time. At this moment, it was awakening and charging towards him. Linley did not hesitate. He activated his cultivation method and instantly used the astral finger. A huge fingerprint instantly collided with the sword will. With a bang, the two attacks collided. The two attacks were evenly matched and cancelled each other out, but the shock waves from the collision scattered in all directions. No! However, at this moment, Na Mingyan sensed the power of the shockwave and immediately gave up on confronting Linley. He hurriedly used his spiritual energy to protect the chrysanthemum and tombs in the cemetery. Sensing this, Lin Rei's heart was filled with doubt. However, at the same time, Lin Rei approved of this old man in front of him. This was because the first thing he did was to protect everything in the cemetery. Lin Rei believed that he had found this person, but he did not have any memories of this person. He did not know anything about this person. You are. Finally, Lin Rei asked the old man. Even though he had approved of him, he still wanted to know his name. After all, he had never met someone who could use such a powerful sword intent and sword qi in the realm of the god. Lin no, young master? At this moment, the old man who was protecting the cemetery heard the intruder's question and immediately raised his head to look at the intruder. However, the moment he raised his head and saw the intruder's face, he froze on the spot. His eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. Chapter 690. Okay. Hearing these words, Linley nodded, then dispersed his power and began to walk slowly amongst the chrysanthemum flowers. Along the way, Linley was extremely careful. His divine sense was spread out, and he virtually avoided the areas where the chrysanthemum grew, for fear that he would accidentally step on it. The tomb in the center of the gate wasn't too far away. Linley quickly arrived in front of the tomb. Although the outside of the tomb was covered in chrysanthemums, the area around the tomb was very clean. Because of this, Linley's impression of the old man became even more positive. Plop! Just as Linley arrived in front of the grave, the old man at the side immediately dispersed his cultivation and knelt down on the ground, kowtowing. Gravekeeper Jian Wudi pays his respects to young master. Gravekeeper? He ignored the old man's kowtow. After all, he had no memory of the old man. Therefore, he was a little confused. Jian Wudi, who was kneeling on the ground, was just like Linley. He was extremely puzzled. He felt as though Linley didn't recognize him at all. However, he only dared to think about it and didn't dare to say it out loud. Yes, young master. Back then, I made some irreparable mistake. Therefore, you sent me here to guard Madame's tomb. Since then, I have not dared to slack off for the past 1,000 years. I have been collecting treasures all the time. I can't even take a single step out of this cemetery. Mistakes. Looking at him, Linley's heart was filled with questions. As for the mistake he had just mentioned, he had no recollection of it at all. Even though he pulled out all the memories in his mind, he could not remember anything about it at all. He was very distressed and curious about this matter. He was curious about such a powerful existence. What kind of mistakes did he make back then? Why was he willing to guard this place for 1,000 years? Jian Wudi, who was kneeling on the ground, felt that something was wrong. After all, Lin Rei was too abnormal. Therefore, Jian Wudi followed up on what he said. Yes, mistakes. Back then, I should not have followed Qiankuan's sect to attack Xuanzong's sect. That led to the tragic death of Madame and young master. However, young master forgave me because of young master Jianfeng. He allowed me to redeem myself by guarding Madame's tomb. He also listed this place as a forbidden area of Xuanzong's sect. What? Back then? Hearing Jian Wudi's words, Linley felt a stab of pain in his heart. His face, which had been filled with curiosity, twisted into a grimace. Although he had forgotten a lot, he remembered Jin Ling's death. Of course, he remembered how many people he had killed and the instigators of Qiankuan's sect. Qiankuan's sect. As for the rest of his memories, they were told to him by his younger brothers and other people who had experienced. But now that he heard Jian Wudi saying that he had participated in the attack on the Black Sect as well, Linley found it hard to accept. His killing intent surged through the heavens. The strong murderous aura rushed out of the tomb and into the surroundings. It was so strong that it was unbelievable and terrifying. Jian Wudi, who was kneeling on the ground, felt the bone-chilling, suffocating murderous aura. He fell to the ground immediately. At this moment, Jian Wudi was filled with fear and hesitation. He hadn't expected that because of some of his words, he would cause Linley to be displeased once more. However, what Jian Wudi did not know was that Lin Rei had almost forgotten about this matter. Hearing his words, it was as if Lin Rei had experienced the scene of Jin Ling's death again. To him, this was undoubtedly the most torturous thing. No one would be able to endure this. However, Lin Rei's murderous aura was strong and majestic. But he had no intention of making a move. At this moment, all the higher-ups in the Xuanzong sect were looking for Lin Rei. Just as they were at a loss and did not know where to start, they suddenly felt a strong murderous aura. Everyone's eyes immediately focused on the palace where the tomb was. Father! As Lin Rei's son, Lin Yun knew that the strong murderous aura came from his father the moment he felt it. He also knew that the murderous aura came from the place where Jin Ling was buried. It was also the forbidden area of the Xuanzong sect. Other than Lin Rei, even he, the current sect leader, was not allowed to go near this forbidden area. Father, what are you talking about? Where is Grandpa? Lin Yun, who was stunned by the strong murderous aura, did not realize that Lin Ling had already come to his side and heard his call. Young master, it's young master's murderous aura. On the other side, the young man felt the murderous aura and looked in the direction of the tomb with a sad expression. Sigh. It seems that young master still hasn't forgotten about Sister Ling Er's death. What? Grandpa Male, are you saying that my grandpa is in the palace on that mountain peak? Lin Ling, who had been following them, was excited when she heard the young man's words. Yes, that's right. That's, just as the young man heard Lin Ling's question, he saw Lin Ling rushing towards the tomb before he could finish his sentence. The young man was stunned for a moment. Then, when he came back to his senses, Lin Ling was already infinitely close to the tomb. Not good, Xiao Yun, quick, Lil Ling is about to enter the tomb. Quickly stop her. The young man said to Lin Yun anxiously. Then, he released his cultivation and rushed towards Lin Ling at full speed. At this moment, he was like a sudden clap of thunder. His speed left everyone dumbfounded. Lin Yun, who had been in a daze, came back to his senses when he heard the exclamation from the side. When he found out that his daughter was about to enter the forbidden area, he panicked. Not for anything else, but because even he, his biological son, was not allowed to enter that place, let alone a descendant. He was worried that his daughter would be punished because of this, and he was afraid that his father would be angry. Quick, quick, stop Ling with all your might. No matter what method you use, just stop her and don't let her enter the tomb. At this moment, Lin Yun was completely crazy and shouted into the air. After he shouted, a group of men in black suddenly appeared. Together with the higher-ups who came out to look for Lin Rei, at this moment, they heard Lin Yun's order and rushed out one after another. Everyone's face was filled with fear and panic. At this moment, the curtains of a chase had been raised. However, Lin Rei, who was in the tomb, had no idea what was happening outside the tomb. Moreover, he was not in the mood to care about what was happening outside. In the tomb, after hearing Jian Wudi's words, Lin Rei was stunned for a long time. But soon, he calmed down. The previous malevolence on his face disappeared at this moment and was replaced by calmness. It was as though there were no ripples on the surface of a lake. It was terrifyingly calm. When he came back to his senses and checked on Jian Wudi, who was kneeling on the ground, Lin Rei said, "Get up! Thank you for guarding this place for so many years. You've worked hard." As soon as he said that, Jian Wudi, who was kneeling on the ground, began to tremble violently. Tears welled up in his eyes and flowed down uncontrollably. He looked like an old man in tears. Young master, this subordinate, 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 this subordinate. Saying that, Jian Wudi's head was buried deep in the soil, as though he had never seen anyone. Lin Rei could feel that Jian Wudi was really regretting this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done this. Looking at him, Lin Rei sighed and said, "All right, Elder Jian, you can leave first. I want to talk to Ling alone." Yes, young master, subordinate will go and guard. I won't let anyone disturb your reunion with Madam and young master. When Jian Wudi heard Linli's words, he immediately knew what to do. He hurriedly stood up and bowed to Linli before leaving the cemetery and heading outside. Lin Rei didn't care about Jian Wudi's departure. With a plop, Lin Rei knelt in front of the grave, tears flowing from his eyes. An indescribable look of agony appeared on his face. Using his divine sense to scan the tomb in front of him, Linley frowned. His hand trembled as he stroked the tombstone. Ling. Husband came to see you. Did you miss your husband? My son, it's all my fault. If I hadn't left with you back then, you would still be by my side. With that, Lin Ray's body trembled violently. He was in indescribable pain. I was wrong. I was really wrong. All of this is my fault. I was too young at that time. I didn't take you and your mother into consideration. If I took you away at that time, I don't think the things that happened later would have happened. Boo-hoo. I was wrong, Linger. He was crying. He was crying. Completely crying. The Linley in front of him right now was completely different from the resolute and callous person he had been on the outside. Presumably, the two of them were two completely different people. As the saying goes, men don't cry easily unless they are deeply hurt. Lin Ray was in so much pain that it penetrated his heart. Right now, Linley was crying very hard. Outside the mausoleum, the crying was even more intense. Jian Wudi had already followed Linley's instructions to stand guard at the gates of the mausoleum. But right at this moment, a young and beautiful woman dressed in sapphire robes suddenly charged towards him. Jian Wudi couldn't help but frown. Chapter 691. At the same time, Lin Ling saw Jian Wudi standing at the entrance with a long sword in his hand. Lin Ling was dumbfounded when she saw him. Who are you? How dare you trespass into the graveyard? Don't you know where this is? Lin Ling immediately came back to her senses. Her eyes were full of grievance, and she couldn't say anything else. He was stunned by Jian Wudi's sword essence and was rooted to the spot, unable to move. I don't care who you are. Leave now and go to the Ministry of Punishments to receive your punishment. With that, Jian Wudi looked at her impatiently and said, Remember, this is not a place for you to come. No one can set foot here except for the young master. Do you remember? No. I want to find. Lin Ling didn't want to accept Jian Wudi's words. She was a little anxious and didn't care about what he said before. However, Jian Wudi didn't waste any time. He waved his sword finger at Lin Ling whoosh. A sword chi was like an ancient beast that had completely awakened at this moment. It opened its huge mouth and bit at Lin Ling with its sharp teeth. How this? Jian Wudi's sudden attack caught Lin Ling off guard. Jian Wudi's sword chi was so powerful that Lin Ling was dumbfounded on the spot. She was in disbelief. Just as the sword chi was about to tear Lin Ling to pieces, a voice rang out. Suddenly, a furious roar came from behind Lin Ling. Have mercy. She's young master's granddaughter. What? Jian Wudi was dumbfounded. He didn't expect this little girl to be Lin Ray's granddaughter. Regardless of whether it was real or not, Jian Wudi didn't hesitate at all. The instant his sword chi was about to reach Lin Ling, cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Jian Wudi dropped the sword in his hand and hurriedly formed hand seals with both hands. Mysterious runes then rushed out from Jian Wudi's body. Reverse. In this eerily silent space, the sword chi that was about to kill Lin Ling suddenly stopped. Then, a strange scene occurred. The moment the sword chi stopped, it rushed in the opposite direction. Bang! The sword chi reversed its direction, and its speed became even faster. It arrived at Jian Wudi's body in an instant. Jian Wudi had no way to deal with it. Just like that, he was struck by his own sword chi. At that moment, Jian Wudi was sent flying backwards. With a bang, he smashed through the gates of the cemetery behind him. Bam! 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 Jian Wudi's figure flew back 100 meters without any hindrance before his body came to a stop. However, due to Jian Wudi flying backward, a path was opened up in the chrysanthemum field. The chrysanthemums along the way were crushed to death mercilessly. It's over. We're in trouble this time. At this moment, a few figures arrived at the entrance of the cemetery the moment Jian Wudi was sent flying. When they saw the tragic state of the cemetery, the people standing at the entrance had only one thought in their minds: it's over. Sitting in front of the tomb, Linley naturally sensed the commotion. He spread out his divine sense and saw Juju's condition, the deathly pale Jian Wudi lying on the ground, and the worried Lin Yun and the others standing outside the door. Linley's face, which had been closed and filled with longing, suddenly darkened. Looking at them, the gloomy-faced Linley rose to his feet. Stretching out his divine sense, he walked towards Jian Wudi, one step at a time. They weren't far apart. He reached Jian Wudi in a few steps. Lin Rei frowned. He squatted down and placed his hand on Jian Wudi's chest. Immediately, a stream of pure spiritual qi rushed into his body and began to examine his injuries. A few minutes later, Lin Rei's gloomy face darkened even more. Lin Rei said, "Reversal? You were injured by your own attack?" Cough. Yes. Yes, young master. Jian Wudi was lying on the ground, clutching his chest. Upon hearing Linley's judgment, Jian Wudi's eyes instantly widened, and a look of shock appeared on his face. "Here, eat this and rest for a while." Hearing his words, Linley didn't think too much about it. He directly took out a pill from his storage ring and handed it to him for him to consume. Thank you, young master. Thank you." Jian Wudi didn't refuse Linley's medicinal pills, because in his heart, he knew very well that if he didn't have any healing pills, it would probably take a very long time for his wounds to heal. At the thought of that, Jian Wudi took the pill and swallowed it. Then, he got up and sat down cross-legged to recover from his injuries. When Lin Rei saw that Jian Wudi was recovering, he stood up and looked at the entrance of the cemetery with a gloomy face. Then, he stepped on the damaged chrysanthemum and walked to the entrance. At this moment, the people standing at the entrance watched as Linley walked towards them step by step. For a moment, everyone's hearts were beating like drums. Even Lin Yun couldn't help trembling at this moment. Lin Rei's expression had never changed since he was born. Other than when he saw his father kill someone, he had never seen such an expression. Therefore, he would be lying if he said he wasn't afraid. Father, you, shut up." At this moment, Linley, who had arrived at the door, heard his son's words, and his frown deepened. However, before he could say anything, Lin Rei scolded him. "Yuner, others might not know, but don't you know? This is the resting place of your elder brother and aunt. What are you trying to do?" Hearing those words, everyone lowered their heads in shame. Lin Yun was so frightened by Linley's reprimand that he started trembling. Grandfather, don't blame father. It's all my fault. I wanted to call you, so I didn't listen to the elders. I know I'm wrong." At this moment, Lin Ling, who was standing in the crowd, saw everyone's reaction. At this moment, she knew the severity of this matter. She quickly went up and admitted her mistake. Lin Rei, who was in a fit of anger, suddenly heard a woman's words. He immediately released his divine sense. When he saw this woman, he recognized that she was Xie Feng's disciple in the secret realm. He had met her once when he came out of seclusion. However, when he heard her call him grandfather, Lin Rei was stunned. Then, he fell into his memories. Grandfather. In an instant, Lin Rei called him grandfather. Suddenly, a very cute little girl, about 4 or 5 years old, appeared in his mind. Ling. Thinking of this, Lin Rei looked at the girl in front of him and asked, "Yes, I'm Ling." At this moment, Lin Ling, who knew she was wrong, heard her grandfather's call. She immediately looked up and responded in surprise. Hearing her reply, Linley suddenly realized that 30 years had passed. No matter what, this little girl should have grown up by now. However, thinking back to when he was at the evil phoenix's place, He knew that his granddaughter had followed the evil phoenix and taken her as a disciple. But even so, he wasn't the reason why they came here and destroyed this place. He couldn't forgive them for this. Although he knew that this was his only granddaughter, he wouldn't let them off just because of this. Alright, since that's the case, then I don't need to say anything more. Since you're my descendant, you'll have to follow my rules. As he spoke, Linley's expression turned cold. He then said, "Go to the Ministry of Justice and receive your punishment." At this moment, everyone was stunned when they heard Lin Ray's words. They thought that he would be lenient when he found out that Lin Ling was his granddaughter. They didn't expect this. However, everyone accepted Lin Ray's punishment. After all, nothing could be accomplished without rules. "Yes, Grandpa." Hearing her grandfather's words, Lin Ling nodded and quickly retreated to the back. "As for you guys?" Seeing Lin Ling leave, Lin Ray spoke again, breaking the law knowingly. "I think you guys know how to deal with it without me saying it." Everyone knew about this long ago. Therefore, they didn't say anything and could only nod in agreement. "Yes, we obey." Seeing everyone nod in agreement, Linley waved his hand and said, "Since that's the case, you may leave." With that, Lin Ray turned and went inside the tomb. Looking at the destroyed juju, Lin Ray's heart was filled with grief. Using true Tai water can make them grow again. Perhaps they will be better than before. At this moment, just when Lin Ray was grieving, the little dragon suddenly spoke. "What? True Tai water?" Lin Ray was full of anticipation for what the little dragon said. After all, if it was really as the little dragon said, he would definitely give it a try. Moreover, he just saw that there was true Tai water. And that's right. True Tai water can make them grow again. Moreover, they will be better than before. However, judging from the destroyed juju, I'm afraid you will need to use all of your true Tai water. Chapter 692. F***ck so much? True supreme water was extremely precious. No matter the grade of the pill, as long as the true supreme water was added, the quality of the pill would increase by 1 grade. Lin Ray's heart ached when he thought about how the little dragon wanted to take all of the true supreme water. However, even though his heart ached, his body still took out all of the true supreme water. Then, he used his cultivation to wrap the true supreme water around the destroyed chrysanthemum in the middle. Just a moment ago, the chrysanthemums were still lying on the ground, but in the next moment clusters of chrysanthemums began to grow from the ground. Moreover, the growth speed was very fast. In just a short dozen seconds, the chrysanthemums that were previously destroyed completely grew at this moment. They grew and their style was even better than before. Upon seeing this, Linley, who had been feeling some heartache, was instantly healed. Because when he thought about how these chrysanthemums would accompany his wife and son, he was satisfied. Father, however, just as Linley had been in a good mood, a voice suddenly rang out, completely destroying Linley's good mood. He was no stranger to this voice. "What's the matter? Didn't I tell you to go and receive your punishment? Why are you still here? Could it be that my words no longer hold any weight?" No. When everyone heard Lin Ray's words, they knew that he was angry. Lin Ray was angry. Instantly, everyone looked at Lin Yun for help. Lin Yun didn't have the chance to decline. He gritted his teeth, stomped his foot, and took a step forward. "Father, it's like this." Then, Lin Yun looked at the people behind him, and saw the anticipation in their eyes. Lin Yun continued, "Because 30 years ago, I ordered people to guard the vicinity of the Qiankuan sect. I also ordered that any disciple who came out of the Qiankuan sect should be killed on the spot without reporting." "Is that so?" At this moment, Lin Ray, who was originally a little angry, calmed down a little after hearing this news. However, He knew that this matter was not as simple as it had been described. Sure enough, just as Lin Rei thought of this, Lin Yun's voice sounded out once again. This time, there was a trace of fear in his voice. However, over the past 30 years, the people I have sent have killed too many people from the Qiankuan sect. Furthermore, they have found out that the culprits are our disciples from the Xuanzong sect. Thus, they have begun to seek revenge. That's right, young master. Perhaps it's because we've killed too many disciples of the Qiankuan sect in the past few years that the other party has gone berserk. I don't know where they found 5 supreme gods and countless god emperors, so what? 5 ultimate gods? At that moment, after hearing Bai Qi's words, he was stunned. Lin Rei furrowed his brows. He knew that this matter was very serious and could even cause the death of the ultimate god. That's right, young master. 5 supreme gods. As you know, other than the people you brought back, no one else can go against the Qiankuan sect. Furthermore, the disciples of the Qiankuan sect only listen to you, so this is their plan. Hearing Bai Qi speak his mind, Linli laughed. So, after all this time, he was actually asking for reinforcements. At this thought, Lin Rei looked at the people below with interest. At that moment, Lin Rei felt a little disappointed. He had high hopes for the Qiankuan sect. However, looking at them now, they were just like the people he had read about in novels. They were willing to risk everything for the sake of danger. He was disappointed. What do you want? Even though he knew why they were here, Lin Rei did not say it out loud. Instead, he asked them to speak. Father, I want to ask the experts around you to help us defeat the Qiankuan sect and protect the Qiankuan sect. You see. When he heard these words coming out of his son's mouth, Linli's calm expression instantly turned gloomy. See? What do I see? He was disappointed in his son. He did not expect that the first thing he would think of when they were in danger was to ask for help instead of thinking about how to fight against the enemy. Looking at his father's cold expression, Lin Yun was stunned. Then, he had an answer in his heart. However, he did not want to think this way because he did not want to hear the answer from his father. Of course, things did not always go as one wished. The more one did not want to hear something, the more one would have to hear it. Little Yun, you have to remember that the Qiankuan sect was passed down to you when it was still in the immortal world. As he spoke, Linli looked at the crowd below. His face was filled with disappointment as he continued, "The same goes for all of you. The sect is flourishing in my hands, and I've already stepped down. Therefore, I won't interfere in this matter, nor will I ask them to help." What? One cry after another of astonished cries could be heard at the entrance of the cemetery. Everyone who heard Linli's words had eyes filled with astonishment, disbelief, and all sorts of complicated emotions. All sorts of emotions were reflected in everyone's eyes. They felt that they had misheard Lin Rei's words and did not dare to believe it. However, this matter had already been settled. Lin Rei could understand everyone's expressions. Yes, you did not hear wrongly. I did say that I will not bother about the Qiankuan sect's invasion and, as he spoke, Linli turned around and didn't even look at the crowd. His tone was extremely cold as he said, "Furthermore, after this matter is over, I will be leaving again tomorrow to train. Therefore, this matter will be resolved in a timely manner. Therefore, you will have to think of a way to resolve this." But grandfather, at this moment, everyone who knew Lin Rei knew that if he rejected, there would be no possibility of him agreeing. Therefore, everyone fell silent. But just as everyone fell silent and thought that there was no hope, a brave and resolute voice rang out at this moment. Regarding this voice, everyone was stunned and all eyes were fixed on her. It wasn't just the crowd. Even Linli, who was standing in the doorway, couldn't help but turn when he heard the voice. He immediately sent out his divine sense to lock onto her. Looking at her, Lin Rei asked in confusion, "But what? You have to know that your father is the current sect leader. The chicks will have to fly alone sooner or later. If I intervene this time, what about the next time? If they continue to live under my protection, it will only harm them. Hence, this time, I don't intend to help. As he spoke, Linley didn't give the others a chance, nor did he respond to Lin Ling's question. Instead, he walked into the tomb by himself, heading towards the central tomb. Sigh. Forget it, Ling heir. Since your grandfather has already made up his mind, no one can change his mind. At that moment, as she watched her father leave and his figure gradually disappear from her sight, her nervous body finally relaxed. She sighed and comforted her daughter, who was by her side. That's right, Lil Ling you don't understand the young master. As long as the young master has decided on this matter, then no matter who it is, he won't care. No matter who it is, no one can change the outcome. Yes. Forget it, since young master has already made his choice, it's useless to say anything more. Everyone agreed with Lin Yun's words. They all felt that since Lin Ray had already made his decision, there was no way to change it. But Lin Ling was anxious at everyone's response. Although she had never been to the God Realm, she still knew the distribution of the God Realm. She also knew that the sect was in danger this time, so she did not compromise. After a few buts, Lin Ling, who was originally in a difficult position, suddenly thought of something. Her eyes lit up and she ignored everyone. She used her cultivation method and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Huh? This girl. Everyone was very puzzled by this, but there was nothing they could do. They did not think that this little girl could help the sect solve the problem, so they did not pay much attention to it. Forget it, let's go. Let's discuss what to do next. Seeing that there was nothing to do here, Lin Yun pulled himself together and said to everyone, if the method of asking for help doesn't work, let's hurry back and think of another way. Besides, I think the old sect leader is right. Since he has already handed the sect to us, we can't let the sect end in our hands. Yes, since we are the upper echelons of the sect, we have to ensure the safety of everyone in the sect. Yes. Since that's the case, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Let's discuss what to do next. Seeing that everyone was in agreement, Lin Yun was instantly energized. He smiled and led everyone out of the cemetery, flying towards the meeting hall. A bunch of brats. At this moment, the people who were leaving did not know that their conversation had been heard by Lin Ray. At this moment, Linley, who was seated in front of the grave, had a warm expression on his face as he looked at the grave. His tone was extremely gentle. Ling don't worry. I will personally end the Qiankuan sect. Apart from me, no one else will do anything. Including Yun. At this point, Lin Ray, who was originally gentle, suddenly changed. At the last moment, his expression changed, becoming extremely cold and murderous. Jian Wudi. The sudden summons had caught Jian Wudi, who was still in the midst of cultivation, completely off guard. However, Jian Wudi could not afford to be negligent in the face of Linley's summons. The instant he heard the summons, Jian Wudi withdrew from his cultivation and hurriedly returned to Linley's side. Lowering his head, he respectfully awaited instructions. You should be pretty strong now. It must be hard on you to stay here. No, it's not hard at all. At this moment, Jian Wudi was not used to Lin Ray's words. Rather than saying that he was not used to it, it was more accurate to say that he was scared and even a little afraid. This was the first time Jian Wudi had heard something like this. He had never heard anything like this before. You don't have to be nervous. Facing Jian Wudi's change in expression, Lin Ray felt a little helpless and forced a smile. What I said is true. It's a waste of talent for you to stay here. After we get out, tell them that I told you to go out and be a guardian. As for the tomb keeper, let Ling do it. Treat it as her punishment. Ugh! After hearing Lin Rei's command, Jian Wudi felt as though he was in a dream. Everything felt too unreal. He didn't expect that he would one day get out of this place. However, this matter just happened to be true. Faced with such a stark contrast in reality, he really didn't know how to deal with it. Why? You're not willing? Lin Rei frowned after not hearing Jian Wudi's perverted voice for a long time. He thought Jian Wudi didn't agree. No. No, I agree. I agree, young master. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will definitely work hard for the Xuanzong sect in the future. Jian Wudi was completely excited. Not only was he excited for the position of guardian, but he was also excited to be able to reunite with his family. This was his extravagant wish ever since he was sent here to be a tomb keeper. He didn't expect to be able to realize it in his lifetime. Lin Rei felt a little better after hearing Jian Wudi's emotional fluctuations. He smiled and stood up, ignoring the excited Jian Wudi, and disappeared from the cemetery. Master? Master? At this moment, in the secret realm of the Xuanzong sect, Lin Ling, who left without a word at the entrance of the cemetery, rushed over and shouted into the air. Master, come out. Disciple has something to tell you, master. His words, which were infused with his cultivation, spread out in all directions. Lin Ling's voice could be heard all along the way. Xiefeng, who was in the wooden house, frowned when she heard this voice. She looked unhappy. This girl, what's going on? Didn't I ask her to find that kid? Why did she come back so quickly? Xiefeng looked annoyed, but one could see a hint of expectation and gentleness in her eyes. Xiefeng stood up and disappeared from the wooden house. When she reappeared, she was already beside Lin Ling, who was rushing over. What's the matter? Why are you in such a hurry? Lin Ling, who was rushing forward, screamed when she heard this voice. Her voice was filled with terror. What are you doing? Why are you making a fuss? Is my voice very scary? At this moment, seeing how his disciple was so frightened after hearing his voice, his originally displeased face became even uglier. Chapter 693. No. At this moment, Lin Ling came back to her senses and saw that the person was her master. She quickly denied it awkwardly. Master, my sect is in danger now. We might be annihilated. So I want to ask you, please help us when the sect is in danger. At this moment, Lin Ling no longer had the courage to speak. Her voice was soft and feeble as though she hadn't eaten. Even so, as a saint stage expert, the evil phoenix naturally heard it. No. This matter is not within my jurisdiction. She rejected Lin Ling's request without hesitation. You must remember that I'm only staying here temporarily. I don't belong to the Xuanzong sect. Besides, isn't Lin Rei here? The people he brought back are all better than the other. Any one of them can solve the sect's crisis. So, I can help you with this. Also, at this point, Evil Phoenix's eyes revealed a hint of decisiveness. He continued, also, this time, I will be leaving with Linley. Thus, I cannot help you in this matter. Xiefeng brushed past Lin Ling and walked towards the pond. But master, after hearing his master's decision, Lin Ling was dazed for a moment. But soon, he came back to his senses. But when he thought about how the sect would be in danger soon, he couldn't care about anything else. He stepped out and disappeared. In the next moment, Lin Ling appeared in front of Xiefeng. She knelt on the ground and begged, Master, please help the sect, help my father. I don't want them to be hurt. Please. Xiefeng didn't say anything. She just stood there and looked at the water. The space around her seemed to be sealed at this moment and became very calm. After a long time, Xiefeng didn't change her decision because of Lin Ling's begging. On the contrary, this made the thoughts in his heart even more resolute. Sigh. Go, I can't help you with this. But don't worry, the sect will be fine. Even if I don't help, Lin Ray, as the founder of this place, won't watch the sect he built be destroyed like this. Xie Feng didn't wait for Lin Ling to get up or reply. She took a step and disappeared from Lin Ling's sight. Really? That would be great, but would Grandpa do that? Lin Ling smiled bitterly and stood up. She knew that even if she went to find her master, it would be useless. Lin Ling didn't stay here any longer and left the secret realm. But the moment she left, Xie Feng appeared. Sigh. Silly child. Evil Phoenix muttered to himself, do you really think that kid Linley would just leave you guys behind and not do anything? I don't believe it. With that, the evil Phoenix disappeared from the secret realm. No one knew where he went. At this moment, Linley was standing at the entrance of the profound sect. His back was facing the entrance, and his divine sense was scanning the peaceful area before him. For a moment, he felt a hint of reluctance in his heart. Sigh. It's time to leave. Sighing, Chu Si and Yun Kai's figures appeared within his divine sense. Linley turned and walked out of the main gate. As for Chu Si and Yun Kai, upon seeing Linley's departing figure, they hurriedly followed him. And just like that, Linley once more embarked on his journey of training. However, at this moment, in Tianliang city of Wuzhou, the Qiankuan sect, whom the Xian sect was afraid of, had already arrived. Moreover, there were so many of them that the entire Tianliang city was silent. Towards the sudden appearance of the Qiankuan sect, everyone in the city, regardless of whether they were cultivators or ordinary people, chose to shut their doors and not come out. To them, these people from the Qiankuan sect were small and couldn't be messed with. In front of the Qiankuan sect, they were nothing more than ants. They were tiny and weak existences. They could only hide in such a situation. Even those who liked to watch the show didn't dare to come out now because they knew that this time was different. The entire realm of the gods knew about the casualties of the Qiankuan sect in the past 30 years. Furthermore, they knew that the culprit behind the Qiankuan sect was the Xuanzong sect. The Xuanzong sect wasn't far from Tianliang city. Therefore, everyone knew what was going on when they saw this scene. At this moment, at the entrance of Tianliang city, a man stood at the front of the thousands of people. He looked at the people behind him and said with a murderous look, I, Qianlong, swear that I will kill everyone from the Xuanzong sect and avenge my disciples' death. I will use this to intimidate the entire realm of the god. No one can shake the position of the Qiankuan sect. My Qiankuan sect's reputation is second to none. Qianlong's voice was so loud that everyone in Tianliang city heard what he said, regardless of whether they wanted to hear it or not. Yes, we obey. As soon as Qianlong finished his sentence, the thousands of people replied in unison. Their voices were so loud that they could intimidate the entire realm of the god. We, the disciples of the Qiankuan sect, swear that we will kill everyone from the Xuanzong sect. We would rather kill the wrong person than let them go. At this moment, the voices of the Qiankuan sect were too loud. At this moment, everyone in the city couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts when they heard this. One had to know that the meaning of "we would rather kill the wrong person than let them go" was extremely terrifying. It seems like the Qiankuan sect is determined to destroy the Xuanzong sect this time. In the president's room of the Alchemist Guild of Tianliang City, an old man stood by the window and looked at the city gate. His eyes were filled with dissatisfaction and fear. Sigh. It's over. Is this the end of a rising star? TSK, the Xuanzong sect has been too high profile for the past 30 years, and they have completely angered the Qiankuan sect. Thousands of elite disciples were killed just like that. No one would be able to accept this. It's over. Xuanzong sect. Xuanzong sect is finished this time. I wanted to recruit this sect but… Sigh. Forget it. At this moment, not only was the president of the Alchemist Guild in Tianliang City, the leaders of the Weapon Forging Guild, Spell Formation Guild, and Talisman Master Guild were all in the same position. They were either standing by the window or sitting in their seat. However, all four of them were looking in the same direction. It wasn't anywhere else but where the Qianquan sect members were at. As the saying went, it was a dark and windy night to kill. At this moment, the moon was shining brightly in the sky and the wind was blowing gently on the treetops. The leaves rustled in the wind as though they were expressing their emotions. At the east gate of Tianliang City, Qianlong turned around and looked at the group of disciples behind him. A cold and evil smile appeared on his face as he looked at the crowd and said coldly, "This time, you can't fail. While the sky is dark, rush to the Xuanzong sect at full speed and try to get there before the sky turns cold." Suddenly, Qianlong's face turned gloomy and his voice was bone-chilling. "This time, no matter who it is, if you don't get there on time, what awaits you won't be the punishment of the sect. What awaits you will be the destruction of your Tao. You will never be reincarnated. SSS." At this moment, Qianlong's words caused everyone to gasp in shock. This decision was too heavy for them. It was too heavy. After all, no one wanted their cultivation base, which they had cultivated for thousands, tens of thousands, or even tens of thousands of years, to be destroyed because of this matter. "Didn't you hear me clearly?" At this moment, Qianlong, who had finished speaking, looked at the silent crowd. His face turned gloomy as he questioned them. We understand." Although everyone spoke at the same time, their voices were filled with panic, hesitation, fear, and even regret. "Yes. Let's go to the Xuanzong sect and kill to our heart's content." Seeing that everyone had agreed, Qianlong immediately flew up and headed towards where the Xuanzong was. After seeing that their leader had left, the members of the Qianquan sect had no reason to stay any longer. Immediately, they rose into the sky and disappeared from the city. They came and left in a hurry. In just a few seconds, everyone had vanished from Tianliang City. Phew! They're finally gone. They're finally gone. They're finally gone. At this moment, the members of the four major guilds revealed relaxed smiles as the members of the Qianquan sect disappeared. Then, they slumped weakly into their seat. At this moment, the actions of the Qianquan sect had been under the control of the members of the Xuanzong sect. After all, there were members of the information department in Tianliang City. The instant the members of the information department left for the Xuanzong sect, the members of the information department in Tianliang City opened up the information channel and passed the news of the Qianquan sect's attack to the higher-ups of the Qianquan sect. At this moment, 24 higher-ups of the Xuanzong sect were gathered in the meeting hall of the Xuanzong sect. As the sect leader of the Xuanzong sect, Lin Yun sat on his seat as he read the news from Tianliang City. His face was filled with anxiety. At this moment, he felt as though he was sitting on pins and needles. He didn't know whether to sit or not. Sect leader, I Tianyun Ming, Bai Qi, Dianwei, Kuei Gang, and Yuan will lead the combat division to kill the enemy. Please grant us our wish, sect leader. Yes, I, Jianfeng, am willing to lead the assassination division to intercept the enemy. Please grant us our wish. I. At this moment, the members of the Qianquan sect stood up one by one when they saw Lin Yun in such a state. However, Lin Yun rejected their requests without any hesitation. No. Lin Yun's heart sank as he looked at the crowd. This time, the Qianquan sect is obviously determined to destroy the entire Xuanzong sect. Moreover, there are a few ultimate gods and a dozen or so emperor gods among their people. Who do you think you are? Ultimate gods? Saints? Even if I let all of you out, do you think it will work? Silence. Initially, the crowd was in a mess because of the requests to join the battle. However, the moment they heard Lin Yun's words, the crowd immediately quieted down. Everyone looked at Lin Yun doubtfully as though they were asking, "Do you have a good idea?" If that was the case, they would fight to the last drop of their blood. They had to go out. After all, they had watched the Xuanzong sect grow step by step. This was their home, and it was something they wanted to protect. Lin Yun revealed a helpless expression in the face of everyone's doubtful gazes. Yes, I know I don't have a solution. But what can we do if we go out? Kill or be killed. Moreover, don't be so pessimistic. Our sect has a sect protecting formation. I believe in Father's strength. Even if they want to come in, they won't be able to do so in a short period of time. Therefore, calm down and think of a solution. Everyone was speechless after hearing Lin Yun's words. However, they didn't know that the three ghost kings, Xian Guang, and the young man were gathered together in the secret realm. This time, the sect master ordered us to stop all the ultimate gods in the Qiankuan sect and force them to retreat. As for the emperor gods, if we can force them back, we will. If we can't, we will let them pass. After all, there are still some emperor gods in the sect. Yes, we understand. Xian Guang was confused when he heard Ghost Li's words. TSK, but it's strange. Logically speaking, with our strength, it shouldn't be a problem to kill all of them. Why do we have to keep them alive? The young master wants the Qiankuan sect's disciples below the Emperor God realm to warn the Xuanzong sect. He wants them to quickly cultivate and grow. After all, the entire sect will only become stronger if they become stronger. The young man smiled and continued. Moreover, the young master wants to bring back the slumbering bloodthirst. After all, the upper echelons of the Xuanzong sect went to look for the young master. They wanted the young master to solve the problem easier than me. The young master is very disappointed in the current sect. Therefore, the young master wants to use this opportunity to awaken the fighting spirit of the Xuanzong sect. Oh, I see. Everyone revealed a look of understanding when they heard the young man's explanation. Chapter 694. Oh right, there's one more thing. This time, we'll be doing it in secret, so there's no need for those people in the sect to know. Amen, good. Seeing that everyone agreed, the male disciple revealed a smile and said, All right, since that's the case, let's move. According to the information we received from the Sky Cold City, they should be halfway there. As he said that, a wave of killing intent burst out from his body. This time, we must make them pay a painful price. But remember, we can't kill them. The cosmic sect must be left for the young master himself. Amen, understood. After getting the precise information, the male disciple said respectfully to everyone, Let's go, cultivators. There's no time to lose. Let's move out. With that, everyone glanced at each other at the same time, and their bodies disappeared on the spot. The weakest cultivator present was an early god emperor. In addition, everyone was moving at an extremely fast speed. Not long after, they disappeared into the night without alerting the disciples guarding the sect or the array. As the saying went, a dark and windy night could kill. Now, this was exactly what they meant. In the discussion hall of the Xuanzong sect, everyone present was silent. Even if a needle fell to the ground, everyone present would be able to hear it. However, just as everyone was silent and had a serious expression, a loud voice came from outside the door. The voice was hurried as if something had happened. Report, following the loud voice, a disciple wearing an elite robe rushed in from outside the door. He was so fast that he arrived not far away from Lin Yun. Plop. The instant the man arrived in front of everyone, he directly knelt on the ground and respectfully said what he wanted to say. Sect leader, just now, an old man holding a sword came in. His entire body was filled with vigorous sword chi, and we didn't dare to approach him. What? Old man? Old man holding a sword? At this moment, everyone present fell into hesitation after hearing the words of the kneeling disciple. They didn't know what was going on and didn't know what was going on. Amen, yes, I've never seen him before in the sect. Hearing Lin Yun's question, the male disciple hurriedly replied, Yes, that person said that he was sent by the young master. I'm not sure, so I came to report. Quick, let him in. At this moment, Lin Yun became excited when he heard the disciple kneeling on the ground say that it was his father who sent that mysterious person over. He thought that the mysterious person must be a hierarch realm expert, but he didn't think so after seeing him. Yes, Sect Master. Hearing the Sect Master's words, the disciple immediately stood up from the ground and walked out of the door. Not long after, a man with a long sword in his hand could be seen. Sword chi flowed around his body, as if forming a sword chi cloak around him, protecting his entire body. However, when such an old man appeared, the expressions of everyone present became serious, especially the upper echelons of the sect who had experienced the incident of the sect being trapped in the immortal world. At this moment, when they saw the old man at first glance, they recognized him as the father of Jian Wudi, the head of the sword sect in the immortal world, and the current head of the law enforcement department of the sect. At that instant, everyone was stunned when they saw the old man, especially Jian Feng. At that moment, his eyes were naturally wet, and tears casually flowed down his cheeks. This scene had played out in his mind for thousands of years. But before this, it didn't go as he wished. However, he never expected that his father would one day come out of the cemetery and appear in front of him so calmly. This moment wasn't painful for everyone, but for Jian Feng and his family, it was a day worth celebrating and being happy. Not for anything else, but for the family to be able to reunite. This was worth celebrating. Sect Master, I'm Jian Wudi. Young Master asked me to come out, Jian Wudi said as he looked at his tearful son, Jian Feng, before turning back to Lin Yun. Young Master asked me to come out and be a sect guardian. He also asked Lin Ling to guard the cemetery and become the tomb keeper of Madam and Young Master. What? This? At this moment, as soon as Jian Wudi finished his sentence, everyone exclaimed. Their faces were filled with uncertainty and disbelief. Facing this, Jian Wudi's face didn't change at all. He was still as calm as before. Very calm. Yes, Young Master said to let Lin Ling guard the cemetery. He also said that the day he returns will be the day Lin Ling comes out. Originally, no one believed it, but after hearing this again, they believed it. This was because they all knew what sort of place the mausoleum was. Since Jian Wudi dared to say such a thing, it meant that Linli had indeed made such arrangements. However, this made things difficult for Lin Yun. He knew that as long as his father went out, it was hard to say when he would return. Sometimes it would be 700 or 800 years, and sometimes it would be 1,000 years. If he really did that, then wouldn't his daughter have to stay in the cemetery for thousands of years? This was very difficult for Lin Yun, but this matter was ordered by Lin Rei, so there was no room for negotiation. Sigh. With a sigh, Lin Yun looked at the people below and said with difficulty, Since old sect master said so, then let's do as you say. Then, Lin Yun's gaze fell on Bai Qi. Uncle Bai, I'll have to trouble you to make a trip and bring Ling Er here. Yes, sect master, I'll go right away. Hearing Lin Yun's order, Bai Qi smiled and nodded. Then, his body disappeared from the spot. Jian Wudi, since old sect master wants you to be a protector, then from now on, you will be the protector of the sect. In a while, I will inform all the disciples of the Xuanzong sect. Are you satisfied with this? Yes. Yes, thank you sect master for your help. At this moment, Jian Wudi, who was standing below, felt a little uncomfortable when he heard Lin Yun's respectful words. But when he thought about his cultivation and origin, he understood the ins and outs of this matter. All right, since that's the case, let Division Leader Jian help you with the rest. Since we haven't seen each other for 1,000 years, the two of you can catch up. Just as Lin Yun finished speaking, Jian Feng, who was standing beside Jian Wudi, knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Lin Yun with a face full of tears. Jian Feng thanks Sect Master for your help. Division Leader Jian Feng, you don't have to do this. You are also the division leader of the enforcement department. Logically speaking, you should be my senior. So, quickly get up. At this moment, Lin Yun's actions were seen by everyone present. At this moment, everyone was even more optimistic about the Sect Master. Yes. Jian Feng stood up according to Lin Yun's orders and then led his father to a corner. When they reached the last corner, they began to talk for the first time in thousands of years. Looking at the Jian father and son, Lin Yun began to reminisce. When was the last time he spoke to his father like this? But after thinking about it, he realized that it was already 1,000 years ago. All right, back to the main topic. Lin Yun, who was filled with nostalgia, quickly came to his senses and corrected his thoughts. This time, the danger of the sect will depend on everyone present to do their best. We are willing to fight to the last drop of blood to protect our home. At this moment, everyone's response was like thunder from the 9 heavens. Their voices were so loud that it was deafening. Whoosh! Just as everyone's morale was high, Bai Qi, who had gone out to look for Lin Ling, brought Lin Ling into the hall. Father, do you need something from me? Hearing his daughter's words, Lin Yun choked on the word "I" and couldn't continue. At this moment, Lin Ling, who was standing below, saw that the atmosphere was so calm. Coupled with her father's abnormal behavior, she knew that something must have happened, and it had something to do with her. Thinking of this, Lin Ling's face became resolute. She quickly said, "Father, if you have something to say, just say it." "I'm listening, sigh." Lin Yun sighed and looked at his daughter. At this moment, he made up his mind and said, Ling it's like this. Your grandfather has passed away. He wants you to go to the cemetery and guard it. Guard the cemetery? At this moment, hearing this, Lin Ling thought of the old man who had stopped her at the entrance of the cemetery. Immediately, Lin Ling's face was filled with excitement. Father, I'll go. What? At this moment, Lin Ling's reply stunned everyone present. To put it nicely, this job was to guard the cemetery, but to put it bluntly, it was to be imprisoned. No one could understand why Lin Ling would do this. That. You might not know, but your grandfather wants you to guard the cemetery. You can only come out of the cemetery after he returns. However, during this time, you're not allowed to take half a step out of the cemetery. Furthermore, you're the only one in the cemetery. You seem to have replaced the previous one. Huh? Lin Ling was dumbfounded by Lin Yun's words. The smile on her face disappeared in an instant and was replaced with a look of unwillingness. When she heard that she had to guard the cemetery, she thought that the old man would still be there. That way, she could ask him about Sword Dao. Who would have thought that she would have to replace someone else? She wasn't willing to do this. No. Father, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Sigh, as a father, he couldn't bear to see his daughter like this. However, he had to obey Lin Rei's orders. Uncle Bai, go do it. This matter has already been settled. Without father's orders, no one can do anything about it. Lin Yun's eyes were filled with reluctance, but he had no choice. This matter was decided by Lin Rei. Father. No. Father, I don't want to. Just like that, Lin Rei followed Lin Ling's orders and forcefully led her out of the palace. Along the way, Lin Ling kept saying that she didn't want to go. However, neither Lin Rei nor Lin Yun could hear it. Grandmaster, we're infinitely close to the Xuanzong sect now. Look, we've been on the road for an entire night. Why don't we take a break? At this moment, in a valley tens of thousands of meters away from the Xuanzong sect, the Qiankuan sect disciples from Tianliang City stopped. A middle-aged man asked Qianlong for instructions. The middle-aged man lowered his head and looked down. He was dressed carefully as though he was afraid of Qianlong. Yes, when Qianlong heard this, he pondered for a moment before raising his head to agree. However, at this moment, Qianlong's eyes suddenly turned extremely sharp as he looked up into the sky. It's coming! What's coming? At this moment, the middle-aged man standing beside Qianlong heard his words and was puzzled for a moment. This sentence made him feel as if he was a monk scratching his head. When he heard the middle-aged man's question, Qianlong was so angry that he almost slapped him. However, he felt a huge aura flying towards them from afar. Qianlong quickly explained. A huge aura is rushing in our direction. Among this aura I can feel that there are several auras that are much stronger than mine. Qianlong rolled his eyes at the middle-aged man and continued, Tisk, I don't know if it's a friend or foe. If it's a friend, then that's great. But if it's an enemy, then, at this point, Qianlong started to pray worriedly. He prayed that it was a friend and not an enemy. However, the reality was cruel. If you were too optimistic, then don't be too optimistic. Just as Qianlong was praying, more than 10 rays of light shot across the sky. They were 1,000 miles away a moment ago, and appeared in front of the Qiankuan sect in the next moment. The people who appeared were none other than the 3 ghost kings from the Xuanzong sect. What is the meaning of this? We have never met you before. May I know who you are? At this moment, Qianlong, who was praying, sensed the group of people in front of him. He quickly opened his eyes and asked the group of mysterious people worriedly. His tone was weak. It wasn't that he didn't want to be tough. However, he could feel that these people were much stronger than the people he brought. He couldn't afford to lose. We have no other purpose here. We just want to keep all of you ultimate gods and emperor gods here. As for those cultivators below the emperor god level, we won't bother with them. They can pass. You're from the Xuanzong sect? When Qianlong heard the words of the mysterious people, he immediately guessed where they came from. Chapter 695. That's right. Upon hearing Qianlong's words, the young man replied without any hesitation. SSS, however, at this moment, after receiving the other party's confirmation, Qianlong's people all sucked in a breath of cold air at this moment. Their faces were extremely gloomy, and there was fear and horror in their eyes. Faced with such a strong opponent, Qianlong's heart started pounding. He wasn't sure if they could defeat the people who had come to stop them. At this moment, the young man saw that the leader of Qiankuan sect was silent. He frowned and said, What's wrong? Are you satisfied with the request we made? Anyone below the Emperor God level or above can go over. Qianlong, who was deep in thought, suddenly heard the voice. For a moment, his heart was not as calm as before. At this moment, he hesitated. However, this kind of hesitation was a taboo in battle. Once fear appeared in his heart, there was no doubt that he would lose the battle. All right, you don't have to say any more. The young man and his men saw that he was hesitating and said anxiously, Let's go. Since they don't want to fight, let's do it. It just so happens that I have nothing to do during this period of time. It's not a bad idea to take this opportunity to exercise my legs. That's right, I like it. All right. However, we'll have to see if they are strong enough to let me have my fun. The moment they heard the words of the male disciple, the other 3 ghost kings and the other ghost kings let out sinister smiles. Following which, a series of terrifying auras surged towards the top of the Qiankuan sect, crushing down on everyone. The sudden change caught Qianlong off guard. He didn't expect this group of people to have such intentions. Moreover, from their words it seemed that they were just playing around with him. Moreover, he didn't sense any killing intent from the people from the profound sect. Regarding this, he was puzzled. Logically speaking, they should have shown killing intent when they were facing a threat to their sect. However, they didn't. As the saying goes, there must be something fishy going on. At this moment, Qianlong had a bad premonition. However, he didn't have time to think. After the young man and his men disappeared, they reappeared in front of Qiankuan's sect. Each of them stood behind a person who was at the same level as them. A battle was about to break out. However, in a battle of this level, those disciples with low cultivation could only be treated as cannon fodder. No matter how talented they were, no matter how rare their aptitudes were in the consciousness of the God world, they were nothing but cannon fodder in this battle. No matter how shocking their backgrounds were, no matter how high their statuses were, in this place everything was nothing. Bam! 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 In an instant, the sound of weapons clashing could be heard louder than the entire valley. At the same time, the mountains on both sides of the road were destroyed in a few seconds because they could not withstand the large-scale battle between the supreme gods and the emperor gods. Not good. Quick! The remaining disciples of Qiankuan's sect, hurry to the Xuanzong sect. Their higher-ups are all here. I'm afraid they don't have many powerful cultivators left. Today, you must destroy the Xuanzong sect for me. Do you understand? At this moment, Qianlong, who was fighting with one of the three ghost kings, saw the mountains collapsing. The disciples with lower levels of cultivation were instantly defeated by the aftermath of the battle. The unlucky ones died on the spot. The lucky ones managed to escape, but the situation wasn't optimistic. It had been a long time since the realm of the gods saw a group battle between two supreme gods. Therefore, they couldn't take it anymore. Even if a monarch god was here, he would have to watch from thousands of miles away to not be affected by the battle. Yes, we will head to the Xuanzong sect immediately. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a face as handsome as jade and skin as white as snow said. He could be considered as a peerless beauty. It was this man. The moment he heard Qianlong's order, his face turned solemn and he replied coldly, "Disciples of Qiankuan's sect, except for those who stay behind to fight, the rest will follow me to the Xuanzong sect." As soon as he said this, the 1,000 cultivators who had been feeling aggrieved because of the battle between the gods were swept away the moment they heard this. All that was left was an expression of wanting to wipe away the humiliation they had suffered in the past. Looking at them, the middle-aged man was secretly delighted. He quickly led the way to the Xuanzong sect. In less than a minute, the entire valley— oh no, it was still not a valley. The place was still in ruins because of the battle. Old man, you're not bad. You're all mid-stage supreme gods. TSK. What a pity. At this moment, he was fooling around with the ghost king that Qianlong found. He was looking at the Qiankuan sect with a relaxed smile on his face. For a moment, he was bored and started chatting with Tian. However, Qianlong even had the thought of killing himself in this situation. How could this be? Fighting in the house with a relaxed smile on his face, and even having to chat like this, Qianlong could be said to be burning with anger. He was extremely furious. Bastard, you forced me to do this. You forced me to do this. Go to hell. At this moment, Qianlong, who was burning with anger, instantly increased his cultivation to a certain point. The fiery red saber in his hand seemed to have come alive at this moment. It flew into the sky on its own and slowly expanded. A shocking saber intent instantly filled the area within a radius of 1,000 miles. The moment everyone who was in the midst of battle felt this horrifying saber will, their faces were filled with bewilderment. Of course, this was only for the Xian sect. As for the Qiankuan sect disciples, the moment they felt this horrifying saber will, all of them let out gleeful smiles. It was as though they had seen something amazing. Come, have a taste of my burning sword technique. At this moment, Gui Hun smiled bitterly as he looked at Qianlong. He was filled with disdain towards the 1,000-meter-long sword above his head. Even though he was an invincible existence in the eyes of others, even though his saber intent had shocked everyone in the divine realm, in his eyes, it was nothing more than a piece of tofu that could be broken with a single blow. You die for this old man. Qianlong could naturally feel Gui Hun's expression and attitude. Gui Hun's attitude had already humiliated Qianlong. In addition to the previous incident, Qianlong's hatred had taken over his entire body. Not only his body, even his soul and thoughts had become slaves to his hatred. A surge of spiritual energy rushed out of Qianlong's body and turned into a giant hand. It grabbed the 1,000-meter-long sword's hilt and slashed down at Guili without stopping. Go to hell, go to hell! Ha ha ha! At this moment, Qianlong had gone completely mad. He did not care if his companions were there or not. At this moment there was only one thought in his mind. He wanted to destroy the person who had humiliated and looked down on him. Destroy him. Heh! A speck of light dares to compete with the sun and moon? An ant dares to be mentioned in the same breath as this exalted. Gui Hun stood where he was and raised his head to look at the descending sword. There was no fear in his eyes. Instead, there was only disdain and contempt for everything. Ghost strike! The speed at which the sword was descending was extremely fast. Just as the sword was about to cut Guili into pieces, Gui Hun moved. He waved his left arm and a surge of black spiritual energy rushed out of his body. The black spiritual energy formed a sword in his hand. Looking at the incoming sword, Gui Hun unhurriedly raised his hand and collided with the sword. Bang! A loud sound was heard. At this moment, everyone present stopped what they were doing. Their gazes all turned to Gui Hun and Qianlong. How is this possible? At this moment, Qianlong, who had a smile on his face, thought that even if this attack could not kill Gui Hun, it would still be good to give him a heavy blow. But now everything had changed. He saw that the ultimate move that he was most proud of was easily blocked by someone. Moreover, the expression on that person's face was the same as before. He was extremely relaxed, as if this attack was nothing to him. Heh! Scorching sword art? That's all there is to it. Bang! Gotcha! Gotcha! Seeing Qianlong's shocked and frightened expression, Gui Hun did not hesitate. He casually pushed and the fiery red broadsword was deflected. Not only that, but at the instant the broadsword was deflected, a strange sound attracted everyone's attention. At this moment, the saber that had been deflected by the long sword that Gui Hun had condensed with spiritual energy started to break into pieces in midair. No, when everyone saw this, Qianlong naturally saw it too. He wanted to see his old friend who had accompanied him for so many years shatter into pieces. At that moment, a roar came from his mouth. Come on. I've accepted your challenge. Now, it's time for you to accept my attack. Looking at him, Gui Hun waved his black sword with a mocking expression. In an instant, he disappeared from where he was, disappearing from everyone's sight. I've said that a grain of light dares to compete with the sun and the moon, but you refuse to listen. Since that's the case, I'll kill you too. But you'll be taught a lesson. At this moment, Qianlong, who was standing on the spot and releasing his divine sense to search for Gui Li's whereabouts, suddenly heard a cold voice from behind him. Immediately, a chill rose in his heart. A bad premonition crept into his heart at this moment. Ancestor Qianlong, be careful! At this moment, a middle-aged man who was standing not too far away saw Gui Hun behind Qianlong and quickly shouted at him. Bang! At this moment, a loud sound was heard. The moment the man who had reported to Qianlong, Gui Li, who was standing not too far away from him, his face darkened. Without saying a word, he sent the man flying with a chop. This scene stunned everyone. It happened so quickly that the few ultimate gods who were closest to the middle-aged man didn't even have time to react. Because of this, the Qianquan sect members didn't dare to act rashly. Although the speed of the attack was considered a sneak attack, they didn't react in time. At this moment, they had a rough understanding of the people who came to stop them. The Xuanzong sect members were much stronger than the Qiankuan sect members. In fact, they were much stronger than the Qiankuan sect members. It was also because of this incident that everyone from the Qiankuan sect no longer had the intention to rescue Qianlong. You? What do you want? At that moment, Qianlong's forehead was drenched in cold sweat like rain when he heard the reminder from the sect's juniors. His expression was one of extreme terror. I've said that I won't kill you. However, there will still be interest. After all, I can't let you come here for nothing, right? As he spoke, the black sword was placed on Qianlong's left arm. The black light was imprinted in Qianlong's heart, and he would never forget it for the rest of his life. No. Don't. At this moment, he would be an idiot if he couldn't figure out what Guili was trying to do. At this moment, the sword was placed on his arm. It was obvious that Guili wanted to use his arm as interest. However, he knew that if he lost his arm, the scorching blade skill would be completely useless. A streak of blood, a severed arm, and a miserable shriek were imprinted in everyone's eyes, hearts, and minds. A supreme god of the celestial world was helpless as his arm was chopped off without any resistance. If this matter were to spread, Qiankuan sect wouldn't be able to stay in the celestial world anymore. This is a warning and punishment for you. Remember, there are some people you can't afford to offend. After doing all this, Gui Hun returned to Gui Li's side and said coldly to the Xuanzong sect members, "Finish them off. It's up to you to teach them a lesson. Remember, don't kill them." Understood. Hearing what Gui Hun said, all of the people from the profound sect present no longer concealed their strength. They instantly unleashed their cultivations and began a battle. Although it was not a massacre, it was still an incomparably bloody massacre. The Qiankuan sect members were no longer the same as before. They didn't have the strength to retaliate at all. Just like Qianlong, they couldn't put up any resistance and were collected by Gui Li's group. At this moment, miserable screams resounded through the clouds, piercing through the universe. Everyone had the same expression on their faces. Hatred, so much hatred that their faces were hideous. It's over. It's over. Our sect is finished this time. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.